The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Sports Out.
Georgia Southern and its first-year head coach Jeff Monken making the traditional arrival in the school buses to Paulson Stadium earlier today. It's the SoCon season opener against Elon next. A beautiful evening for college football in the Southern Conference here in Statesboro, Georgia. Pete Lembo, head coach of Elon on the right, against Jeff Monken on the left for Georgia Southern. We come inside Paulson Stadium, couple of top 25 teams ready to go at it. The Elon Phoenix ranked 11th in the country, and the Georgia Southern Eagles, number 24 in the nation. Great to have you with us for today's game. Tom Wormy along with Super Bowl coach Sam White. And Sam, a top 25 matchup, and these two teams, big weekends last week. You've got Elon lost in overtime at Richmond, a top 10 team in the football championship subdivision. And for Georgia Southern, a win on the road at Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, and a contrast of styles here we're going to see today. Elon's a little bigger. They're a little more experienced, throw the football a lot. And Georgia Southern, though, is a running football team. We're going to see the triple option, but they've got those quick defensive ends. And one little factor, Georgia Southern possesses the ball about 4 minutes longer than their opponents. That'll be important in today's game, time of possession.
Now, Sam, we know you threw a lot of passes in your days as a walk-on quarterback at Furman University, but you did not throw as many as Scott Riddle from Elon, the all-time leader in passing yardage in the Southern Conference.
Are you sure those aren't my practice passing stats right there? No, not very many people have. You know, he threw the ball 56 times against Richmond last week, averages about 40 throws a ball game and around 300 yards every time he sets foot on the field. He is a terrific quarterback. This is a guy that playing his senior year, doesn't seem like it's been that long, but he has become more of a student of the game, according to his coach.
First-year head coach for Georgia Southern, Jeff Monken, told us earlier in the week this is his dream job. He also spent some time here at Georgia Southern as an assistant coach under Paul Johnson.
Well, the coach here at Elon, Pete Lembo, said he's a perfect fit here at Georgia Southern because he spent 13 years with Paul Johnson at Navy, Georgia Tech, and, of course, Georgia Southern. And he brings back to Georgia Southern what these fans are used to seeing as winning football, and that's the triple option. We're going to see a lot of running today, a lot of pitching the ball, and a lot of time of possession.
The 11th all-time meeting between these two teams, and the Elon Phoenix has won the last three. We're getting set for kickoff here at Paulson Stadium. One of the great traditions here in Statesboro, Georgia. Freedom the Eagles swoops into the stadium, signifying we are just moments away from the opening kickoff. Ready to rock on SoCon Saturday.
All right, man. They done all the talking. They called us out. Talk's cheap. I want to see some action. They're not worried about the environment. Let's show them an environment right out there where those white stripes are. Let's show them an environment they're not very comfortable in. Get after their ass. Let's go.
The words of inspiration in the locker room pregame from Jeff Monken, the first-year head coach at Georgia Southern. The last bit of what he said, a reference back to Irk Russell, who took this program over in the early 80s when it restarted and brought it to 3 national championships, 6 overall here in Statesboro, Georgia. But, Sam, the Eagles have not been to the playoffs since 2005. SoCon Saturday presented all season long by Blimpie, America's Sub Shop. Georgia Southern won the opening kickoff, has decided to defer. So Elon will get the ball to start the game in the maroon, white, and gold. Georgia Southern in the classic blue and white. Eagles come in with a 2-1 record. They beat Coastal Carolina on the road last week, 43-26. Elon losing at Richmond, 27-21 in overtime.
There's some nervous bodies out there. If you just heard your coach say that to you in the locker room in that tone of voice, he was dead serious now. He wanted to start it out, and you're right. He reflects Irk Russell, who was here for many years, Paul Johnson, who was here. And this is a tough, mean, legal, but tough football team.
Ball's in the air, and we are set for SoCon Saturday. Kier Brown still on his feet up to the 30 and falls forward to the 32-yard line. And that's where this Elon Phoenix offense will take over. A 28-yard return to get it started for Kier Brown. The total offense, third in the conference, 441 yards per game. And this guy accounts for a lot of it. Scott Riddle, 844 total yards this season. He has passed for over 10,000 in his career at Elon.
Coach said he'd be on the field 10 hours a day if you'd let him getting out there practicing. He loves to play the game, the son of a coach.
He has thrown a touchdown pass in 15 straight games, and 35 of the last 36. He has started every game of his career in maroon and gold. First rush of the game belongs to Brandon Newsome as we check out the key players of the game for Elon on offense, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams.
And we're going to be looking at Aaron Mullett today. 18 catches last week against Richmond, an Elon record, and he's got 2 games already this year where he's caught the ball for more than 100 yards.
He is 8th in the nation with a 115-yard average per game. Number 3, Aaron Mullett, the sophomore from Sanford, North Carolina.
Georgia Southern started out in a cover 2. Now they're rotating up to the blitz. Here they come.
Pass is complete. That is Sean Jeffcoat. That is first down yardage up close to the 45-yard line for Elon. Now for the defensive key players for Georgia Southern, presented by Sherwin-Williams.
One guy to watch, inside linebacker Josh Rowe. He's the leading tackler on this team with 22. Also adds one of their 7 sacks that Georgia Southern's had this year.
This pass incomplete, looking for Brandon Newsome in the flat. And Newsome slow to get up.
They don't need to get him hurt again. He's actually playing at about 90% right now. He's did not play at all against Richmond a week ago. We're talking about Brandon Newsome, number 2, as he walks off the field, limps off the field.
Carlos Cave with the hit for Georgia Southern, number 37. Scott Riddle, one of the captains of this team, a senior from Ramseur, North Carolina. He's already put the ball in the air 123 times this season. Here comes 124, and it's complete. A.J. Harris dancing up to the 45, but taken down. Tackled by Carson Hill.
Good play by Carson Hill. He came up. They read the screen. They actually gave up the blocking to the left, knowing that they were going to throw the ball to the right on a screen. So Scott Riddle knows in the internal clock he doesn't have much time. And great play by Carson Hill coming up one-on-one in the open field.
3rd and 10 for Elon. 45% of the season. Tied for 2nd in the conference.
Carson Hill going all the way.
Hill trying to read that look for Elon. 4 receiver set. Play clock down to 2. The Phoenix does just get that one away. Riddle throws. Near side has a man complete. Mullett. And Hill took him out of bounds, but not before a first down. 33 yards on the pass play from Scott Riddle to Aaron Mullett.
Mullett that time, they looked like they were playing games offensively and defensively, so their looks before the snap. And then they went man-to-man, one-on-one with Carson Hill. Mullett just went by, and Carson looked like he was expecting cover 2, and may have gotten confused himself when they were checking off.
Officially a 34-yard game on the pass play.
See that cover 2 look with these 2 deep safeties in the back. Corners are up.
Elon from the Georgia Southern 21. Riddle with a pump. Has to move. And threw it out of bounds. E.J. Webb had a chance at it, but Riddle threw it into that Georgia Southern bench. Aaron Mullett will be a concern for head coach Jeff Monken. Number 3, the receiver for Elon. 18 catches, a school record at Richmond, and a career high 195 yards. And that was only the 3rd best performance in the Southern Conference, which has really had some receivers step it up this season.
Yeah, that was a big week last week. Now, Elon goes to the I formation, and here comes the reverse.
Jeffcoat inside the 20, maybe to the 17 for Sean Jeffcoat, the senior from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Derek Hayden on the tackle for Georgia Southern, number 4 in blue and white.
Jeffcoat's one of those guys that a lot of speed. Here's the fake. And then the reverse. You kind of give up one guy and everybody else you're trying to get ahead of. But look at that pursuit by Georgia Southern. They did not get fooled that time.
That was a 5-yard pickup. We go inside of 12 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Another third down play for Elon. They picked up the last one on 3rd and 10. This 3rd and 6.
Scott Riddle back there by himself. No blockers.
Again, the play clock down to 2. They snap it at 1. Riddle gets it away. The ball's up for grabs, and it's intercepted. E.J. Webb with the interception, his first of the season, and the ball goes to the Eagles.
I think E.J. actually had one a little bit earlier in the year, too, but that ball was a ricochet up in the air. You know, when that ball's hanging up there, the problem that happens many times is 2 of your own players go for it and knock it away from each other. Right in the middle. The blitz came quick. The hot receiver was looking inside. That was Aaron Millette. And the ball just kind of bounces off him. Looks like he had a chance to make the catch, but jump ball. And Georgia Southern stops a pretty productive drive there.
4th interception of the season for Scott Riddle. 1st and 10 for Georgia Southern from its own 21-yard line.
Oh, looking downfield, boy, those wide receivers, we're going to see a little different style. Instead of receivers trying to get open, they're going to be blocking. Jabo Shaw, the quarterback, transferred from Georgia Tech, was a backup there for a couple of years with Coach Jeff Mullet. Jeff
Munkin. Mullet's on the other team, Sam.
All right, I think they know each other. They know
it's
all
actually
about
Millette, yeah. So here is 2nd down for Georgia Southern after a short gain on 1st down. Let's take a look at the key offensive players for Georgia Southern, presented by Sherwin-Williams.
And to show you they don't throw the ball a lot, J.J. Wilcox is their leading receiver after 3 games with 5 receptions. But he leads the team, a couple of touchdowns and a rushing touchdown for Wilcox.
Wilcox, 13 carries, 85 yards coming into today's game and a touchdown. Averages 6.5 yards per carry. Here is 3rd down and 3 for Georgia Southern. 5th in the conference at 36% on 3rd down, and they've got this one and more. Darius Robinson on the carry, number 22, and a 1st down. 20 yards on the play for the Eagles.
An outstanding job. It's a pitch to the outside, but of sealing off the inside. The blockers are all coming down. Now what? They're going to come out. See, they're blocking here. There's your hole, and the runner picks it right between them. Actually, high jumps one of his own guys. Wow, that's a good one. 3rd down play, big one.
Out close to midfield for Georgia Southern. 1st and 10 from its own 49-yard line.
Came right back with the same play. Or
Another big game. Like 9 yards on that play. As we take a look at the key defensive players for Elon, presented by Sherwin-Williams.
2 linebackers to watch there, Travis Green and Brandon Wiggins. Travis Green last week, fumble recovery and an interception against Richmond. Brandon Wiggins had 19 tackles against Duke earlier in the year.
Wiggins tied for 4th in the conference in tackling. Here's the measurement. And it is a 1st down. So they will spot the football at the 41 of Elon.
You know, Tom, you don't see very often a team come back and run the same play back to back from the same formation to the same side. Sometimes they'll flip it over and go to the, if they ran it to the right the first time, run it to the left. But Georgia Southern just going with what they like. They told us earlier in the week they were going to run their stuff and run their defense. They weren't going to try to change for Elon.
Jabo Shaw also has a couple of rushing touchdowns for the Eagles this year. First man through and the ball came out. The ball came out at the 36-yard line, and the Phoenix has it. Brandon Wiggins comes up with it.
And that's their 4th fumble loss this year. That's part of the problem with, not a problem, but part of what you deal with. See the read on that guy right there. Fullback may have thought he wasn't going to get the ball because the defensive man did close. Defensive lineman closed on the play a little bit. The quarterback read it differently. And the grip wasn't on that ball like he was going to get it.
Jordan Jones, number 59, had the strip for Elon of Toby Akinarani. So the ball goes back to the Phoenix. Couple of turnovers, one for each team. 1st and 10 from the 36-yard line for Elon. Riddle throws on the run, complete. Jeffcoat and out of bounds at the 45-yard line. 18 yards on the play.
There may have been a little bit of a mix-up in that backfield there. That one didn't look as smooth as Elon, but what we saw was an experienced quarterback with a strong arm getting the ball down the field to where he knew a guy was going to be. When you play together with your team for year after year, you know where they're going to be. Once again, you get this cover 2 look. See these guys, they're giving up 2 deep safety with the corners up. Here comes the blitz from the side.
Riddle got it away, close to the 40 and complete. Carlos Cave with the tackle for Georgia Southern. Andre Labinowitz, 88 for Elon, and a 5-yard pickup on the pass play as they spot it just beyond the 40 of Georgia Southern.
They tried to show that cover 2, and then Carson Hill, the corner, to the quarterback's right side. Blitz off the corner.
Second and 6 for the Phoenix. Riddle pumps it up again. It's complete to the first down marker and more inside the 30. Jeremy Peterson making the catch, absorbed the hit, and the chains will move. 13 yards on the pass play from Riddle.
That time it looked like Georgia Southern was 1 short to the left. Scott Riddle recognized it, immediately went to the left side of the field. See, there's only 2 guys out here, but nobody to clear deep. Anybody in the flat's going to be open. He is. And then the great run after the catch.
Peterson, the sophomore from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, gets a first down inside the 30 of Georgia Southern. Riddle over the middle. It's complete. And that is Millette with the grab.
We mentioned earlier that Millette had a big day last week. He's already had 2 games, Richmond and Shaw University, where he's caught the ball for more than 100 yards, or 195 yards, 18 catches last week, 2 touchdowns. Just another day at the office.
And one of those touchdowns, Sam, came on the final play of the game to force overtime. A 25-yard touchdown play from Riddle to Millette to send that game against Richmond to OT.
That was the old shovel pass.
Touchdown, Elon.
Yeah, did you? This one, you can almost lose the ball. Quarterback sprints to his right, shovels the ball underhanded. It's a forward pass. You don't have to throw it over your shoulder. You can throw it underhanded as long as it's forward. It's a pass. So if the running back had dropped the ball, it would not have been a fumble.
16 yards, and Jeremy Peterson goes all the way to the end zone. Adam Schreiner for the extra point for Elon. And it's a 7-0 lead. Scott Riddle, the little inside shovel pass to Jeremy Peterson. He's got his first TD of the season, and the Phoenix has the lead. SoCon Saturday on Sports South is brought to you by Carolina Ford, by Choice Hotels, by RBC Bank, and by Waste Management. Back in Statesboro, Georgia, an unconventional play for the Elon offense. A little shovel pass forward by Scott Riddle to Jeremy Peterson. It went 16 yards to complete the drive, and here it is, fooled everybody, and Peterson gets to the end zone.
You notice the offensive linemen, what I call popping fresh. They all kind of stood up as if they were in a pass protection mode. Let the line rush up past them. And we've been in this 7 minutes and 20 seconds left. Elon came into the game with 3 interceptions. They've had 1 turnover and interception. Georgia Southern came in with 3 fumbled loss. They've had 1 fumble loss. That would resulted in a in a touchdown for Elon. 7-0.
Carolina Ford's scoring drive went 63 yards on 5 plays, a minute, 55 seconds.
Well, I lost the over and under on the first punt. There have been no punts. 3 possessions.
Scott Riddle already over 100 yards passing. 8 of 11 in the game, a touchdown and an interception. Scott tripped up and flags come out. Laron Scott, who averages over 30 yards per kick return, but there is a flag on the play.
Jabo Shaw, quarterback for Georgia Southern. You know, I got the name Jabo there, Tom. Would you like to know?
I'd love to know, Sam.
Well, his name,
I know his real name is Jared, right?
Jeremy.
Legal block in the back. Above the waist. Return team, number 81. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
So it goes against Georgia Southern. You were saying, Sam.
I was saying his real name is Jared Lee, and contrary to what you said earlier to me, he was not the first Jared in the Subway commercial. But
I didn't say that.
His mother was trying to get his attention during his youth, and I think it was a baseball game. Couldn't get his attention and just yelled, Jabo! And it's stuck ever since. And now you know the rest of the story.
Jabo spent his first 2 years in college football at Georgia Tech under Paul Johnson, who was the head coach here at Georgia Southern. A couple of national championships in '99 and 2000. Right up the middle and close to the 18-yard line. Jabo at Georgia Tech. And coming with Jeff Monken, who was an assistant at Georgia Tech, to Georgia Southern for this season of play here in Statesboro.
And of course at Georgia Tech they played the same offense that we're seeing out here today. A triple option. Georgia Tech been quite successful, Georgia Southern as well. The history of it here with Irk Russell and with Paul Johnson is legendary.
Back to the ground for Georgia Southern. When we were talking to Jeff Monken during the course of the season, Monken says he comes from a coaching family and he appreciates Jabo because he also played for his father in high school at Flowery Branch High School in Georgia. Jeff told us his father's brothers, all four of them, all coaches in football.
Well, at least they know what they're going to talk about at dinner. They'll talk about football.
Another third down. Here's 3rd and 3 for Georgia Southern. Robinson.
Could have been a late hit. They're not going to call it. Went over the top.
Either way, it's a first down and a 10-yard pickup for Robinson.
Elon playing a 3-man defensive line here. They used to be usually play a 4-man line. Look at that block out in front. Wow. That was J.J. Wilcox that made the number 19. That's what you call a decleater. Your feet come completely out of the turf.
Jeff Monken from 97 to 2001, an assistant here at Georgia Southern under Paul Johnson. National champs in 99 and 2000, and also national runner-up in 98. 3 championship games in his years here at Georgia Southern. Another 9 yards.
Assistant Georgia Tech, Navy, and Georgia Southern, and of course at Navy and at Georgia Southern is where he was with Paul Johnson, and then at Georgia Tech he completed 13 years with him, ingrained in this offense. Believes in it, believes in having a tough physical football team. He said, I want them to play within the rules, but I want them to be tougher than the other guy.
Georgia Tech, the ACC champs from a year ago, and 5 bowl games for Monken while he was at Navy. Up towards midfield for this triple option offense. 9 yards on the play. Lee Banks with the carry. And Jeff Monken makes it pretty simple for his Georgia Southern Eagles.
There it is. 1, 2, 3. You know, if every team played that way, the odds go up of winning. It just increases your chances.
Here is first down. And down close to the 42-yard line. It's Banks again. 7 yards for Banks. So the leading rusher coming into the game for Georgia Southern, Robert Brown, was injured last week in the win at Coastal Carolina. But Wilcox, Robinson, and now Banks picking up the slack for the Eagles. Their last possession, their first of the game, stalled because of a fumble.
Banks showing you the power, Robinson the speed and the quickness getting outside.
Eagles yet to put it in the air. 2nd and 3 from the 43.
Oh,
Tackle made at the 35-yard line.
Part of the design of that running play when they pitch to the outside is to seal the inside. And there, on that particular pitch, going back to the left, look right in here at the seal blocker. Boom, right there. When you're looking up between your legs at the ball carrier running, you know you just got hit pretty good.
Jarek McKinnon on the carry, and it was Blake Thompson with the tackle for Elon. But a first down for Georgia Southern. This is SoCon Saturday on Sports South. Tom Wormy along with former Furman quarterback and Super Bowl coach Sam Weich. 3 minutes, 23 seconds to go in the first quarter. And another running play. Surprise, surprise, Jarek McKinnon for another 5 yards for the Eagles.
And that's what they're doing. You know, they're getting those 5 yards. Now you're at second and do what you want to do. Georgia Southern's going to run the ball most of the time. They're not going to surprise Elon with a pass too often, but I'll guarantee you we're going to see a little play action here before long, because the more they're watching from up here, when those safeties start biting and reacting a little too quick, they're going to pull the ball back and throw it.
93 yards on the ground so far for Georgia Southern. They come into the game fourth in the conference, averaging 238 yards rushing per game. Banks slamming into the line. It's going to bring up a 3rd and short. Joshua Jones making the tackle for Elon. That is Robert Brown, freshman from Macon, Georgia. Hurt last week against Coastal Carolina. Took a hit on the side of his torso, so out of action this week.
They actually were going to look at him, and they were hoping he'd play today, but just wasn't coming along. That's that kind of a bruise. There you see his numbers averaging 4.4 a carry. But he is one of those guys that, because of his running style, you can't get hit there again. You risk a fumble.
10th play of the drive coming up for the Eagles on 3rd and short. It's a pitch and a first down. Down to the 20.
That is really working for them. Robinson keeps jumping outside and beating him outside, that time for 8 yards. See the seal and the good kick-out block by the receivers. These receivers for Georgia Southern have to be blockers as well as receivers. And remember, they're coming into a system this year. They were recruited in another system. And this year, first-year coach Jeff Monken has put in this triple option, so they're learning it brand new.
1st and 10 from the 20. Here's the 11th play of the drive. Right up the middle, and the pile moves. 7 or 8 yards up, first down for Georgia Southern in the red zone this season. 92%, 11 of 12, 9 touchdowns, second best in the conference for head coach Jeff Monken.
The 3-man line that Elon is giving them creates a different read, but not a more difficult read necessarily, but a different read for Georgia Southern's quarterback, Jay Beauchamp, and he's doing it very well. He's getting the ball to the right guy.
Trying to increase on those numbers in the red zone. Second drive of the game for Georgia Southern. They fumbled on their first possession, on the move here. Close to first down yardage. J.J. Wilcox, tackled by Brandon Ward, number 20.
And we've seen that toss, I think 3, maybe 4 times already in this ballgame, to the right, once to the left, and it's made yards every time. The blocking angles are there.
.38 seconds to go and counting. 1st and goal. Banks to the 5, driving his way, and will go no further. He is stacked up by 4 and 5 Elon defenders. 2nd and goal from the 5-yard line for Georgia Southern.
They'll probably let that one rest, yeah. Play the next down in the second quarter at the 5-yard line.
2nd and goal. It appears that Georgia Southern will be content to run out the clock in the first quarter. The Eagles are knocking on the door. After 15 minutes here on SoCon Saturday night from Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. It's the Elon Phoenix with a 7-0 lead, but Georgia Southern is threatening. We're coming right back to Statesboro after this on Sports South. SoCon Saturday on Sports South is brought to you by Blimpie, by Sherwin-Williams, by Geico, and by CT&T. Back to beautiful Statesboro, Georgia, and Paulson Stadium, a facility that opened in 1984.
Lee Banks, he's the fullback, gets the ball inside right here from nearby Augusta, Georgia. 5'11", 200-pound senior. And it's a pure read. He doesn't know when he's going to get it, or the quarterback might pull it away depending on the read of the defense and pitch it out to the speedy guy going to the outside.
14th play of the drive coming up, which has gone 81 yards thus far.
Wide splits by the offensive line.
Banks close to the goal line. So Banks down to the 1.
You know who he reminds me of? Furman's fullback of a few years ago, Jerome Feldman, playing for the Detroit Lions now, I believe.
That's right. Let's take a look at our first quarter stats. Served up by Blimpie, and it's all on the ground for Georgia Southern. 123 yards rushing, trying to punch it in here.
Just the opposite for Elon.
Touchdown. Jabo Shaw took a hit right at the goal line, but broke the plane. The third rushing touchdown of the season for Jabo Shaw. And we're an extra point away from a tie game at Paulson Stadium.
Jabo Shaw put both hands on that football when he saw the opening, and he knew he was going to keep it inside. He wasn't going to give it to the fullback for sure, and the pitch wasn't going to be there. And he went up in there. He made sure one thing: no fumble.
Adrian Mora for the extra point for Georgia Southern. Mora ties the game at 7. 14 plays on the drive, and it's capped by number 14, Jabo Shaw. Jabo fights his way to the goal line for the first score of the game for the Eagles. SoCon Saturday on Sports South is brought to you by Blimpie, by Toyota, and by Cellular South. Back to Paulson Stadium. The longest scoring drive of the season as far as plays are concerned. 14 plays in that drive for the Eagles, capped by Jabo Shaw taking it in from about a yard out for his third rushing touchdown of the season. The Carolina Ford scoring drive. 14 plays, 86 yards. Touchdown from Jabo Shaw.
You know, Tom, when you think about it, this team that we're seeing on the field, Coach Monken has really only been with this team, had one recruiting class. The rest of them came from Coach Hatcher before that. And Coach Hatcher in 2007, when he started, really only had 13 days to recruit before the recruiting was over. So this is a very young team. It's really kind of one of those at a disadvantage in terms of gathering that talent together, and it's going to get better and better.
Tied up at 7. Early here in the second quarter. Return out close to the 30-yard line. Carson Hill making the play on special teams. A 19-yard return for Elon. Pierre Brown. Scott Riddle leading his team back onto the field. Riddle with a little shovel pass to Jeremy Peterson for 16 yards and a score in their last possession to take that 7-0 lead. Elon winning last year's meeting. September 26th of last year, a 28-14 win in Elon, North Carolina. First play is on the ground, and Brandon Newsome. In fact, Elon has beaten Georgia Southern 3 times in a row. No current team in the Southern Conference has ever beaten Georgia Southern 4 times in a row.
That was E.J. Webb on that tackle right there. Kind of a bandit player. That's a hybrid, really. He's not really a linebacker, not really a strong safety, just moves around. But number 1, E.J. Webb, one of their best defensive players in terms of productivity.
Riddle gets it away. Incomplete. Looking for Millette. Couldn't hang on.
You know, anytime you throw the ball and it arrives at the receiver below the waist, which this is going to be, he gets some pressure right here, has to pull away from that reach. And when he throws it, the ball is below the waist. It leaves the receiver in an awkward position. See him go down low? It leaves him right there where the knees and his thigh pads actually get in the way of the catch.
The Phoenix 1 for 2 on third down. 3rd and 5. Riddle going deep. And caught. Sean Jeffcoat adjusting on that football, out of bounds inside the 40, 28-yard pass play from Riddle.
Well, we've seen Sean Jeffcoat make some nice plays. He's calling, it looks like he's hanging that right arm a little bit. But when you're running down the field, whether the defender or the receiver sees the ball first is really going to determine who gets the best odds at catching the ball. The receiver saw the ball coming up short earlier than the defender. Defender was looking at the receiver. Too late, came back for the catch. Looked like he may have fallen on that right shoulder.
Jeffcoat to the sideline. 1st down for Elon from the 38 of Georgia Southern. They will run it with Newsom. Maybe a couple of yards for Newsom. Carlos Cave, number 37, the freshman from Macon, Georgia, in there for the Eagles.
Oh, Josh Rowe came in there as well. They were double teaming on that one. You're going to see we have seen a lot of pursuit from the Georgia Southern defensive unit. That's why Elon went with that reverse down in the red zone a little bit earlier. See their stats for the season for Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern, the scoring defense, first in the conference, allowing just 14 per game. Riddle wants to go deep to the end zone and just barely overthrew his receiver, Sean Jeffcoat, who sat out one play, came right back in and ran straight to the end zone. Couldn't connect with Riddle.
You know, sometimes when you get that much time and you feel like you're going to see the quarterback throws the ball to the open spot. If the receiver doesn't come out of it just as clean as the quarterback thinks he will, takes that little shovel, got a wide open receiver, and normally Scott Riddle is money in a situation like that. Just a little too much.
Third and 8 for Elon. 2 for 3 on 3rd down. Riddle to throw. The integrity of the pocket is compromised, and a sack for Georgia Southern.
That's number 8 on the season for Georgia Southern. Lost 9 yards that time. What they've got to their advantage, Georgia Southern, they've got quick defensive ends. They're super fast coming up the field, and Deion DeBose and Brent Russell, and John Douglas. They got quick coming up the field. You get that step on that guy. That time, I believe it was Josh Rowe, linebacker.
So Rico Agnew was there as well, number 99.
Here's the first punt of the game.
Darian Robinson will let it bounce into the end zone. So it'll be a touchback, 45-yard punt. When we come back, the Georgia Southern offense comes back on the field. Beautiful Statesboro, Georgia, and the campus of Georgia Southern. All tied at 7 here in Statesboro, Georgia, as the sun goes down at Paulson Stadium. Second quarter as we go around the conference. The Citadel and Furman, and it's the Paladins winning at home 31-14 earlier today. Samford and Appalachian State, and the Mountaineers will maintain their #1 ranking in the football championship subdivision with the victory. Chattanooga and Western Carolina all tied at 7 in the first quarter. And if you were with us a few weeks ago, you saw an amazing football game between Appalachian State and Chattanooga, where App State scored 28 points in the fourth quarter for the comeback victory. This is our second game of the season here on SoCon Saturday. Down the sideline, Darius Robinson.
And that's the speed. What's turned into a game with Lee Banks going inside when the read is there. The pitch to Robinson, who seems to have that extra step. What's his speed? Robinson never slows down. You're not waiting on the quarterback. He's got to get the ball to you. Good blocking down the field. All the way out of bounds. That's legal.
14 yards on the play for Robinson, up to 60 yards in the game for the freshman from Brunswick, Georgia. Jabo Shaw taken down at the 35, maybe a yard for Shaw. Travis Green, number 47 for the Elon Phoenix. Travis Green, Sam, a big game against Richmond last week with an interception and a fumble recovery.
Makes a nice play. See the read that the quarterback saw. He thought Green was going to go with the pitch, and he really kind of fooled him. Started outside, came back, made the hit.
That interception for Green last week against Richmond, the first of his career for the senior from Falls Church, Virginia. Robinson again fights his way up close to the 40-yard line.
Okay, here's something interesting. Third and normally a passing situation, but Georgia Southern is yet to put the ball in the air, so let's see if they do it here. Third and a long 5.
Now they are also 4 for 4 on third down in the game so far, but we do have a player down for Georgia Southern. It is Tyler Sumner, number 88, a sophomore from Pooler, Georgia.
You know, we were looking at earlier at the Southern Conference scores right there. Chattanooga and Western Carolina all tied up. B.J. Coleman is the quarterback for Chattanooga and leads the Southern Conference in yards by 20 yards over Scott Riddle here at Elon. Scott Riddle, however, comes into this ball game having won that title 3 years in a row. If he wins it this year, he'd be the first quarterback in Southern Conference history to do it 4 straight years. We'll see the injury if we can.
Looking for 88 in blue in the bottom left-hand portion.
Yeah, saw him go down, but it's like most injuries that, you know, I keep saying all injuries are freak injuries because these guys know how to fall, they know how to take a blow, they know how to deliver a shot, and their condition, obviously. But when you get hit unexpectedly or your foot gets tied up in the turf, you can have an injury of some kind. Sometimes it's not as dangerous as it looks initially. There it is, right here. Right here. Number 88. It looked like he got hit tough, but sometimes it doesn't take much.
10 minutes, 23 seconds to go in the second quarter. Third down. Georgia Southern 4 for 4 on third down in the game. Yet to throw the ball. Here it comes, first pass play, and it results in what should be a first down.
Well, I lost on that one. I said the first pass they'll throw will be all play action, but it wasn't.
Trey Butler making the catch. Ronnie Hardison, number 5, with the coverage for Elon.
And Jay Beauchamp is looking over at the coach. See, I told you, let's get the ball in the air a little bit more. Receivers are always open. The quarterback can always get it to them. There's never a discussion about that.
Just the 32nd pass thrown this season by Jay Beauchamp, the transfer from Georgia Tech. He's 58% through the air this season. Pitch to midfield. And a flag comes out. Travis Green made a collared tackle. And correction, it was Chandler Reitenberry, 41, not 47, but he's going to get flagged for that tackle up around the collar.
Reitenberry's one of the safeties, and you can't bring him down from that collar, grab the back of the shoulder pad, and violently bring him down. The reason, of course, is a safety issue with the ball carrier.
Personal foul. Horse collar. Defense, number 41. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic. First down.
So we get the call from referee Larry Malum, results in an automatic first down, Sam.
That happens. You get the yardage that you gained on the run, as then, of course, the penalty is tacked on from the spot of the foul.
Robinson ran it for 5 yards, at 15 on the foul, and go inside the 35 of Elon. First and 10 for Georgia Southern. Jay Beauchamp drops it out to Robinson, who covers it at about the 39-yard line.
That's the second time they dropped the ball on the option. The other time, of course, they lost possession of the ball. Elon recovered. But that's part of the option win, especially in year one. This early in the season, they are way ahead of most teams. Obviously, it comes from a lot of repetition at practice.
Well, Coach Monken told us we're still just chipping away at that big rock before they can really polish off anything. Monken in his first year as head coach here at Georgia Southern, but was an assistant from 1997 to 2001 here in Statesboro, part of 2 national championship teams. They go right up the middle. It is Banks And that appears to be the play for Banks, Sam. Just give him the ball and let him plow his way right up the middle for big number 35.
Yeah, just keep punching away. Time of possession works in your favor. And of course, you're playing Elon, one of the top teams in the nation, number 11 ranked nationally, and number 24 right here, though, is Georgia Southern. Pecking away, getting their, of course, they lost only one game to Navy by 6 points. And they are, well respected coming into this ball game. But the difference is, of course, everything's kind of new to them. Their new coach, new system, new chemistry.
Another third down here for Georgia Southern. Perfect 5 for 5. Looking to the end zone and incomplete. Patrick Barker, the intended receiver. Blake Thompson was back there for the coverage for the Phoenix. Fourth down for Georgia Southern.
Third down and long, you're even though you don't have a passing team, you're going to be expecting the higher possibility of a pass. So Elon did a good job. They were playing the pass. They were back there in position. Blake Thompson had that seam down the center. He was there. Fourth down, looks like they're going to go for it rather than try either a long field goal or try to pooch it out of bounds.
They are 3 for 5 this season, Sam, on third down. Correction on fourth down. And now we've got a timeout. Georgia Southern will take a timeout and think about this fourth down play. So when we come back to Paulson Stadium on Sports South, it is fourth down for the Eagles, tied at 7. It is 4th and 8 with 8 minutes and 5 seconds to go here in the second quarter for Georgia Southern, all tied up at 7. Georgia Southern scoring their points on a 1-yard run earlier in this quarter by Jabo Shaw. Here they go on fourth down. They are 3 for 5 on fourth down this season, second best in the Southern Conference.
Here comes the blitz.
Shaw to throw. Floats one and it's caught. Down by the 15-yard line.
Wow. I tell you, that one didn't come out of his hand clean, and it's a good thing it didn't, because had he thrown that ball online, it would have been intercepted, but it didn't come out and went over the head of the defender.
18 yards on the pass to Trey Butler.
It just goes over his head on that, what we call a mallard pass, a mallard duck. It just kind of floated. No spiral on that one very much, but very effective. 2 for 3 throwing the football.
First and 10 from the 14 for Georgia Southern. Banks rumbling his way inside the 5. He is tough to bring down. Lee Banks, 5'11", 200, a senior from Augusta, Georgia. And Banks got 9 on that carry.
A little bit of a shaky.
Little exchange afterward there, and Banks is a little wobbly.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it could have been. Could have been, I'll get you again if you come back this way kind of thing. But, there are 3 teams now, Georgia Southern being the third team. Look at their good numbers. Wofford, Citadel, and now Georgia Southern that run this triple option in the Southern Conference. So teams will be working on it more. Elon said they worked on it 4 days in the spring specifically and 4 more days in the summer practice, getting ready for the option. When you don't see this every day, you don't really, it takes a lot of work to make sure that you have your responsibility. It's more of a man-to-man defense. You've got to cover your pitch man or your quarterback or whoever is assigned to you. Even if you happen to have a zone pass defense on, the run defense is more man-to-man. Each guy has an assigned person that he takes if the ball comes to his side. Paul Johnson was guy that put all this stuff in, and look back in here, you can see back in the corner there, I believe that looks like the head coach.
That was Monken in the background there, yes, one of those championship seasons in 99 and 2000. Georgia Southern trying to hammer it in, and they do. The Eagles take it to the house. Jabo Shaw.
Well, this has been a well-executed offense and defense for Georgia Southern. and they're giving Elon, one of the top teams in the country, all they can handle.
Mora's extra point is good. 2 short TD runs from Jabo Shaw, who now has 4 on the season. There he is. He keeps it and takes it to the end zone. 14-7. The Eagles on top of the Phoenix. SoCon Saturday on Sports South is brought to you by Carolina Ford, by Choice Hotels, by RBC Bank, and by Waste Management. The sunset over Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia, and the Eagles have a 14-7 lead. 6:37 to go in the second quarter. The Carolina Ford scoring drive, 12 plays, 80 yards. Just over 5 minutes, and it's Jabo Shaw officially from 2 yards out. His second touchdown run of the game.
But more importantly, it's getting a little cooler up here in the booth as the sun goes down.
Those players and coaches still sweating it out on the field.
Yeah, Shaw, you know, his numbers are always going to be more impressive on the ground because every time he keeps it, of course, it's a rushing attempt for him.
This is Brown. Brown up to the 30-yard line, close to the 30 for Kier Brown, a 15-yard return.
You know, Georgia Southern is honestly is really playing well right here, and Elon, obviously they're not going to be overconfident with Coach Pete Lembo, but last week against Richmond, ranked number 5 in the nation, Coach was telling us he was kind of at peace on the sideline. He knew they were going to play well. They even faked a punt in the fourth quarter when they were backed up. They knew they could come back and win the ball game, and they took it to overtime only to lose.
Riddle bolts it off, and it's knocked down. Wow. Batted down by Josh Gebhardt, number 90.
Gebhardt reads the pass. Watch this big arm come out. Bang. Oh, I thought I caught those extra passes after practice. I'd have gone all the way with that one. Elon this year, of course, played Duke better than those numbers in that score, but Richmond down to the wire, took it to overtime and lost 27-21.
Aaron Millette with a touchdown catch of 25 yards on the last play of the game at Richmond to send it to overtime, where Elon ultimately lost that one on the road to one of the top teams in the football championship subdivision. A.J. Harris on the carry. Scott Riddle so far in the game, 9 of 15, 134 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. That touchdown, an unusual shovel pass to Jeremy Peterson, who took on 2 tacklers at about the 5-yard line and barreled his way to the end zone. Elon led it at that point 7-0, 14 unanswered from Georgia Southern. Pass is complete, and there goes Millette. Millette to the 25 and inside the 25 of Georgia Southern. 42 yards on the catch and run from Aaron Millette.
Boy, as the ball is snapped, it looked like the protection broke down. It was a quick snap. It wasn't a long snap count. The ball came up quick, and you thought maybe the line missed. But no, they were setting up this screen. Good down the field blocking. Millette's going north and south, not trying to get that extra yard by ducking under people, and gets the big gain out of it. Look at that line of offensive blockers.
Officially 46 yards for Millette. There's the shovel pass again to the inside, and it goes down inside the 10-yard line and a first down.
Just like Georgia Southern did with that pitch to the outside, they come back to a play that was really successful for them, scored a touchdown earlier in the ball game. Talking about Elon on this shovel pass right here, same exact play. Gets him into the secondary, then you're on your own after that.
12 yards for Jeremy Peterson. Last time they tried that play, it ended up in the end zone for a touchdown for Peterson. He now has 39 yards on 3 grabs. Coming into the game, he had 3 catches for 55 yards. So he has equaled his season total. It is Carson Hill coming off the field. When you talk about receptions at Elon University, you certainly talk about Terrell Hudgens, who has since moved on. But Hudgens, the all-time leading receiver in all divisions of Division I football. Football Bowl subdivision and football championship subdivision. 395 career receptions for Hudgens. Riddle to the goal line, knocked down. Derek Hayden knocked that ball away from the intended receiver.
Jeremy Peterson was the intended receiver, just went down and tried to stop right at the goal line. They're a little bit light in the defensive secondary now. That pass was actually thrown on time. Receivers coming back to the ball, just good defense.
Peterson, the intended receiver. Second down and goal. 5 minutes, 13 seconds to go in the second quarter. Harris inside the 5 to the 3. A.J. Harris Jr. from Ocean View, New Jersey.
That ball was just handed up underneath, going inside those quick defensive ends that are giving those tackles a lot of extra effort. They're making them have to work extra hard in order to get back there. You've got two defensive ends that are about 230 pounds apiece, 6 feet and 6'2", and John Douglas 6'2", and Deion DeBose, but they are super quick. They're not just faster than average.
Elon 1 for 2 in the red zone. Millette diving for the pylon. Is he in? The indication is touchdown. Aaron Millette vaulting towards that pylon in the corner of the end zone for the score for Elon.
And once again, Elon just getting rid of the ball quick by design. That was a design play. They had blockers out in front. But Millette doing the right thing. Boy, when you get that close, go airborne and get the ball across the plane. That's all it has to get there.
And before the extra point, there are whistles and flags. So the second touchdown pass of the game for Scott Riddle. And now gives him 9 on the season.
Right snap. False start. Offense. Number 56. 5-yard penalty. Retry.
You know, back in the spring, Aaron Millette was actually working for playing time. He was actually working for a spot on the roster because he wasn't a regular a year ago. But he certainly earned it, and he stuck around in the summertime, worked with Scott Riddle, and threw the ball a lot. And you get that little confidence that a receiver and a quarterback get when they do that extra work together.
Adam Schreiner, extra point, up and good, and we are tied at 14. So it is Scott Riddle flipping it out to Millette, who does the rest.
Blockers sprint to the outside, look at over the top, making sure as long as you get that ball across. And remember the rule, it's not the player, it's where the ball is when the out of bounds occurs. The ball is in the opinion of the official across the goal line when that foot hit that pylon. The pylon would indicate going out of bounds.
Sam, he is such an incredible athlete that as he was in midair, knew enough to spin his torso the opposite direction and get that nose of the football over before he kicked the pylon with his left foot.
Well, we had talked about that right before the game. I told him if you get in the spot like that.
Yeah, right.
Where did it go?
I'll tell you what a play. And in the Southern Conference a week ago, you had 3 receivers who had monster days. Bradford from Chattanooga, Mims from Furman, and Millette with an 18 reception day at Richmond in the loss in overtime to set a school record for the Elon Phoenix.
Set the school record, but was 3rd in total yards for that week. That's how much offense was displayed last week in the Southern Conference. But to catch the ball 18 times, that's almost 5 times a quarter that you're getting the ball. It's pretty hard to do that. That doesn't happen very often just because you can't call that many plays. But Elon throws it on almost every down.
LaRon Scott straddles his own goal line to the 15. Scott to the 27. Taken down there. Carolina Ford scoring drive for the Phoenix. 7 plays, 70 yards in even 2 minutes. It is Millette, the 3-yard TD grab, and for Millette, that is now his 5th touchdown catch of the season and the 7th of his career. And how about Scott Riddle, Sam? Now has 87 career touchdown passes. That is a Southern Conference record.
And he's going to hold a lot of Southern Conference records before he finishes. Talking about Scott Riddle for Elon. But now with 4 minutes and 25 seconds, this is just the right amount of time to mount a drive and finish with the ball in your hand. And if you're from a Georgia Southern perspective, score last at the end of the first half.
Now, Sam, that's Lee Banks with the carry, number 35. Coming into today's game, Lee Banks had 2 carries for 8 yards, but he has been a critical part of this offense so far tonight.
Well, you know, sometimes all you need is that opportunity, and you come in and you had a good night's sleep, and you know the game plan, and things fall into place. But even after all of that, boy, it's years of work and training to get to a point that you can have a day like he's having.
J-Bo pitches it. Robinson up to the 35 and back to Banks for just a moment. He is 11 rushes for 63 yards. Again, he came in with just 8 total yards. Number 35 for Georgia Southern.
Well, you know what's helping them a little bit is that outside running game has been so successful that they're having to, with wide splits, the offensive line is taking extremely wide splits, moving that 3-man line, separating them, and Banks is hitting those holes with a lot of power.
5 for 6 on 3rd down for Georgia Southern, and there's another one, and guess who it is? Banks up to the 40 for 5 yards. Travis Green, number 47 for Elon on the tackle.
Now, if you're a coach and you're looking at that, you're saying, look at the pride in protecting that football, 2 hands on the ball. Watch the shoulder pads. Look at him get down low. Boom, right down there, so that you see where he fell forward for about 2 more yards. He didn't get knocked back.
Banks not afraid to mix it up with those heavy hitters on the defense for Elon, and the Eagles continue to chew up rushing yardage. This triple option attack, primarily on the ground. Robinson on the move. Shaw to throw. Has an open man. It's Wilcox. Down to the 30. 30 yards on the play. J.J. Wilcox with the catch.
That comes with 2:44 left in the half. From the standpoint of Georgia Southern, they were saying, okay, there's the pitch. And then the design of the play is to throw back in the direction of the pitch, feeling that the force is going to come quick, come up, stop the run. And you get the guy behind, which they did, get behind everybody. But what they wanted was one big play to get down there close so they had time to score. They were just a little bit, those 3 and 4 and 5 yarders wasn't going to happen.
And that the first catch of the game for Wilcox. Back to Banks. Not a whole lot there as he gets inside the 30-yard line of Elon. All tied up at 14. 2 minutes, 17 seconds to go and counting. Here in the second quarter from Statesboro, Georgia, Tom Wormy, Sam White. SoCon Saturday on Sports South.
Georgia Southern has 2 timeouts remaining in this half. Elon has 3, but they wouldn't, unless they get possession, they won't use them.
Jeff Monken, this is his first game as a head coach in the Southern Conference. He and the Eagles have their hands full with the Elon Phoenix, exactly what we expected from these 2 teams, both ranked in the top 25 in the FCS. Wilcox got hit from behind out of bounds. The clock will stop. He's near the 25-yard line.
J.J. Wilcox kind of took the roll away at that time from Darius Robinson, who's been hitting the outside quick. Wilcox also a very quick guy. Came into this game as the leading receiver with 5 catches in 3 games, so that tells you that they're not throwing the ball a lot. Boy, just enough to keep them honest on defense, and the running game has been nearly letter perfect. Very few times have they come up with nothing.
Another 3rd down on the drive for Georgia Southern, 3rd and 5. Just inside the 25 of Elon. J-Bo takes a hit, loses his helmet on the football. Picked up by Elon. Out near midfield. Shaw took a hit from the backside from Travis Green. The second turnover of the game for Georgia Southern, and the ball goes back to the Phoenix.
Now, last week against Richmond, Travis Green recovered a fumble, had an interception against Richmond, played a big part in their comeback. And now we're going to see Elon. We got an injury on the field. Let's see what happens. Here's Green coming. He just beat the protection. It was a play action, so the offense wanted to look like a run. The line kind of fired out, and there was a crease. You get hard enough to knock your helmet off on contact, and that wasn't a hit to the helmet. That was a clean hit.
Curie Mullins, number 58, picked up the football for the Phoenix. And there is Shaw walking off the field under his own strength after taking a mighty whack from Travis Green.
It's to set up what the situation is here. It's 1:36 seconds left to go in the half and 3 timeouts. Look at the pass rusher. It's a quick move around the offensive left guard. I'm not sure that the guard is responsible for that spot because they had 3 people coming with 2 blockers. Somebody was going to get free, and it was Travis Green.
First sack of the season for Green. Ball back to Scott Riddle and the Elon Phoenix from their own 48-yard line. And a sack for Georgia Southern. E.J. Webb now has a sack to go with his interception.
E.J. Webb is a linebacker, and he just blitzed up in the inside and didn't beat. I don't know who was responsible for him. Timeout, Elon. Now, you know, when you're talking about a team that has an advantage in a 2-minute situation in this game, obviously it's Elon. They throw the ball as a normal course of action. But when you get quick pass rushes up the field, you've got quick defensive ends that have been a concern all day, and then you bring an extra guy like E.J. Webb that time, you're still getting pressure.
This Georgia Southern defense, again, first in the conference in points allowed, just 14 per game. And first in total defense, allowing 268 yards per game. That's 11th best in the nation. And they are 7th best in the country in points allowed.
You know what? This was going to be their big test. They were going up against one powerful offensive unit with a style of play. An offensive line that's much bigger than the defensive line that they're going up against. The defensive line is relying on speed and quickness. Offensive line, of course, relying on that ball, that strength.
2nd and 20 for the Phoenix. Ball in the 38. Riddle unloads it. That is complete Peterson. Peterson out of bounds, and the clock will stop. 1:21 to go. LaRon Scott, number 34, on the defensive play for Georgia Southern.
Now, Pete Lembo mentioned Jeremy Peterson to us during the week when we talked to him, that he was one of those guys that he really liked. Was going to be a comer, just a sophomore at 5'9", 183 pounds.
4 catches, yeah. 4 for Peterson, who only had 3 coming into the game, Sam, and he's got 1 for a touchdown. That in the first quarter, 16 yards from Scott Riddle on the shovel pass to start the scoring. At that point, it was 7-0 Phoenix, now 14 all. Riddle to throw on 3rd and long. Gets away from the pressure momentarily. Fires. Incomplete. Looking for Millette. 4th down.
Now, I will guarantee you that when they get into practice next week, they're going to be talking about catching the ball with your hands. Don't let that ball get into your body. Watch as the ball arrives with Millette right here. He lets it get all the way into his body, and it comes out. Reach out and receive the ball. Don't catch it, receive it. When you catch it, those shoulder pads and that chest, that sternum acts like a trampoline. That ball comes banging right out of it.
Reese to punt. The deep man is Darian Robinson. Number 7 for Georgia Southern. Reese first punt went 45 yards. Tries a rugby-style kick here. Gets a very nice bounce, and Robinson's going to have to watch it go by as it dribbles inside the 10. And down at the 9. Exactly 1 minute to go.
1 year ago, when Elon and
September 26th, Sam, of 2009, Scott Riddle, 19-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. Then he hits Taylor Berry for 3 yards and a TD pass, 16-7 Elon. And then look at Hudgens, 12 catches for 138 yards, 338 total yards passing, and Elon wins it 28-14.
And they've won this matchup the last 3 times that they've met.
Jabo Shaw comes back in. Elon won it in 2008 as well, 22-20 on a game-winning field goal with just 6 seconds left by Andrew Wilcox. Shaw with the pitch, took a stick as he let it go. And Robinson has 8 yards on the play. Correction, Nico Henry. Nico Hickey with 7 yards on the play. Jabo Shaw trying to run him up to the line of scrimmage on 2nd and short.
Eagles still have 2 timeouts. They want to make sure they get the ball a little bit out of this -20 territory. Will they use one?
Wilcox to the 35 and backpedals his way close to the 38-yard line. 19 yards for Wilcox on the catch from Jabo Shaw.
You have an injury down on the field, is going to stop that clock.
There's an Elon player down as we get another look at it.
This is a nice job of stopping, setting up, throw the football. Don't throw that ball on the run if you don't have to a receiver that's not running with you. The receiver standing still, you want to try to stand still on the release as a quarterback.
Georgia Southern and Elon first meeting back in 1998. And it was Georgia Southern with the win 31-17. This is the 11th overall meeting. And the Eagles lead the series 7-3. But again, as Sam had mentioned, Elon has won the last 3 matchups. Teams. This Georgia Southern program restarted back in the early 80s. Look at that photo.
That was back at Womack Field. Valdosta State, Georgia Southern. It's got to be hanging in a bunch of coaches somewhere.
Restarted the program in '82 under Irk Russell, the longtime defensive coordinator at Georgia, who won 3 national championships here at Georgia Southern. Shaw on the run. It's incomplete.
Very close to being past the line of scrimmage, but he was perfectly legal. The line judge had a perfect read on that one. That's Irk Russell. He was a bald head. That's what he was known for. That was one terrific coach and one terrific motivator too. That guy could probably motivate you if you were in the office or on the job site or on the football field.
The statue of Irk Russell. We have had some technical difficulties with our video signal. We'll keep you apprised of the action here from Paulson Stadium with 17 seconds left. Jabo Shaw rolling to his left. He's a right-hander, has to throw it on the run, and it is complete up close to the 47-yard line to Tyler Sumner. So the clock stops on 3rd down with 11.6 seconds to go. Jabo Shaw now 5 of 7 and 85 yards, and a nifty throw on the run for the right-hander moving to his left stand.
Yeah, that time he wanted to get the ball to the outside so they wouldn't have to use a timeout, get out of bounds. Of course, they wanted that one to be about 2 yards longer to get the first down. We may be looking at the Hail Mary right now or a quick throw to the outside, try to get something, and then Hail Mary on the last play.
Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties. We'll keep you up on the action here in the final seconds of the second quarter. Jabo Shaw over the middle, incomplete, and the ball falls to the turf between 3 Elon defenders. And it was Shaw looking for number 19, J.J. Wilcox. Blake Thompson had the coverage for the Elon defense.
Had Wilcox been able to hold on to that ball, though, it would have been inside the 25-yard line. Probably an opportunity for a field goal here with seconds left. About 5.5 of them left in the half. Timeout.
So Wilcox has that one go off his fingertips. Incomplete. And there is a timeout being taken by Georgia Southern. There is just 5 seconds to go. It is 4th and 2.
What are you going to do here, Tom?
It appears that the Eagles want to go for it. Jabo Shaw showing his toughness on the last series. He got hit and dropped by Travis Green on a sack, lost his helmet in the process, but Shaw came right back in the game and trying to scrape up some points here in the final seconds of the second quarter, all tied at 14 from Paulson Stadium. And Shaw comes off of that sideline for Georgia Southern. They will go for it here on 4th and 2 with just 5 seconds to go in the half.
You know, the average play time average is 6 seconds. So this should be the last play if the average is upheld, but the average means there's some less and some more.
Now there are flags on the field.
This would be a illegal procedure. 12 defensive players on the field when they broke the huddle, I guess. Yes. That takes care of the first down.
Substitution infraction in defense. Having 12 men in the formation. The result is a 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's referee Larry Malum making the call against the Elon Phoenix. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties, but we'll keep you up on the action here with just 5 seconds to go in the second quarter. The ball resting at the Elon 48-yard line. 4th and 2. Now it is 1st and 10 after the penalty.
All tied up, 14-14.
Flags come out. Jabo Shaw rolls to the near side, lofts it up, and just throws it into his own bench about 20 yards away from the line of scrimmage. But again, there is a flag on the play. So the last 30 seconds of this half have taken quite some time to sort out here. All tied at 14. Now the clock shows 0 right now. But again, a flag on the play. It'll go against Georgia Southern.
Elon will decline now. It looks like they let the play go, so that'll end the game in the half.
Illegal formation, defense. Number 71 not properly lined up on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. That's the end of the first half.
Now the official said it was against the defense, but obviously it was against Georgia Southern. What it all means is we've played 2 quarters of football and we're all tied up at 14. We welcome you back into Paulson Stadium. We apologize for our technical difficulties, but again, it is all tied up at 14 here at halftime. Georgia Southern and Elon, couple of top 25 teams. For each team, it is their first conference game of the season. Elon opened up the scoring. We were tied at 7 after Georgia Southern came back with a Jabo Shaw touchdown run of 1 yard. Georgia Southern took the lead 14-7 on a 2-yard rushing TD for Shaw in the second quarter. As we go down to head coach Jeff Monken. And coach, in a dogfight here in this first game, all tied up at 14. What are the things you like from the first half?
I don't know. I'm glad we're able to run the ball effectively and get it down the field. I'm not happy with a whole lot other than that.
Coach, your defense, though, is playing well. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. He's not used to that much.
No, but it also took them 2 minutes to score that last drive, Coach, and you know how frustrating that is.
Have you got a thought that you can share with us that you're going to leave them with as they come out on for the second half?
I'm going to go in and tell them how disappointed I am that we turned the ball over twice on scoring drives where we had a chance to at least get a field goal, and that they're just marching down the field and throwing screen passes on us, and it's like water going through a sieve on defense. That's what I plan to tell them.
All right, sounds good to me. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Jeff Monken, the head coach for Georgia Southern, will have some words for the Eagles at halftime here at Paulson Stadium. All tied up at 14. Our halftime report is coming up from Statesboro, Georgia. This is SoCon Saturday. Back in Statesboro, Georgia, this is SoCon Saturday, our second game of the season, just as entertaining as the first one was. We started out the year a few weeks ago at Chattanooga. Here at Paulson Stadium, we're all tied at 14 after the first 2 quarters between the Elon Phoenix and the Georgia Southern Eagles. Both of these teams ranked in the top 25, one of the best matchups in the football championship subdivision this week. Elon ranked 11th, coming in with a 1-2 record. Georgia Southern, number 24, with a 2-1 record. All tied at 14. Couple of rushing TDs in the first half for Jabo Shaw. And, Coach, he really showed his toughness after he got hit by Travis Green on a sack, lost his helmet, was down for a moment. But Shaw right back into this game to lead the offense for Georgia Southern.
Yeah, when you get hit blindsided, you're not ready for it at all. It takes the wind out of you. Really sometimes aren't hurt as bad as it feels because you recover quick.
So we'll take one more timeout before we kick it off here in the second half. Jabo Shaw and the Georgia Southern Eagles and the Elon Phoenix tied at 14. 14 all on SoCon Saturday as we get set to start the second half of action. Just a moment ago, had a chance to check in with the head coach of Elon, Pete Lembo. Coach, tell us about that first half here, all tied up with Georgia Southern at halftime.
Well, I think it was a great first half. I'm sure you guys feel good. You picked a good game this week. I'll tell you what, I'm really happy with how our young guys in the secondary are competing. We got 3 freshmen and a sophomore playing back there, and they're really hanging in there. They need to tighten things up a little bit, but for young guys, they're really battling against this tough offense.
And Scott Reynolds having another good day as usual like that. But are they doing anything on defense that's a little bit different than you expected?
No, it's a mix of zone and man, Coach. And the key is we got to make every possession count. You know, that first one deep in the red zone, the turnover hurt us. We only had 4 possessions in the first half, so we got to make sure that we try to get some points off every single one of them.
And the 3-man line that you're playing defensively, happy with that?
Pretty.
Ready for the second half kickoff from Paulson Stadium. LaRon Scott, number 34, in those classic blue and white uniforms. The Elon Phoenix in the gold, maroon, and white in the gold helmets. Georgia Southern to get the ball to start the second half, tied at 14. Scott scoops it up to the 20, to the 30, and beyond the 30-yard line for LaRon Scott.
LaRon Scott, you know, is a defensive back, averaging over 30 yards, though, a kickoff return. That time he got 22. That actually below his average, and that was a good return.
Jabo Shaw to lead the offense out of the field here in the second half.
Banks and Robinson did a Herculean job there in the first half, along with Jabo Shaw, the quarterback. He was throwing the ball as well as running.
First and 10 from the 32-yard line, and they go right back to the ground. A short gain on first down.
You know, I was
That's Banks.
I stepped right on you there, but I always tell my players the first series on offense, the first series on defense is the most important one. You set the tone for how you're coming out to play the final score. Remember, they only keep the fourth quarter score for tomorrow morning's paper. And this first drive right here will indicate exactly the attitude that both teams are coming out.
From the 35-yard line. Pitch. It was Robinson who got dragged down by Brandon Ward, number 20.
Georgia Southern went right to the play that was so successful for them in the first half. Obviously, there's been some adjustments here. That side, you see the players are getting up the field. They're not allowing themselves to get hooked or blocked with a down block. Georgia Southern having to bow to the outside gave defensive players for Elon a chance to get there. And they made some good adjustments so far, a couple of them.
Georgia Southern in the game for head coach Jeff Monken, 6 of 9 on third down. They call this 3rd and 7. Shaw throws, and it's complete. Sumner into Elon territory, and the chains are going to move after an 18-yard gain on the pass play from Shaw to Sumner. Edward Burns, number 29, on the tackle for Elon.
You know, one thing you don't ever want to do to any team is to talk about a deficiency in their team, because they'll come right out and show you that they're not. And the passing game is something that people don't talk about with Georgia Southern. They're not really putting it down, but they're talking so highly of their run offense. But their passing has been just important and on third down.
Georgia Southern only averaging just over 100 yards per game through the air, 7th in the conference. Here is Banks again. He gets wrapped up by a couple of players. The ball comes loose, but the whistle had blown.
You can see that, once again, Elon has made an adjustment. Banks was very successful with that option play, and as soon as that defensive lineman moves up the field, they give him the ball, but they're taking a step up the field, getting penetration, and then closing down. And he's given the quarterback a little bit of fits here as he's not getting that quick read that he had in the first half.
103 yards through the air in the game for Georgia Southern. 2nd and 9, all tied at 14. First man through. And that is Banks again.
That time getting good pressure from the backside was the Elon defense. Coming hard down the line. That was David Hunt making the play on that one. He is a defensive left end over there, coming right down the line on a run away from him.
So here's another 3rd down, 3rd and 7. They converted the first one of this drive. A catch by Sumner. Seven of 10 in the game on 3rd down. Shaw calls his own number and slips down at about the 43-yard line, giving maybe a couple of yards on the carry, but that brings up 4th and long from about the 42-yard line of Elon.
We're seeing one other adjustment that Elon's made during the halftime. They're shifting their defensive lineman as the quarterback gets into the snap count. And he tells the read that the quarterback was expecting then has to be postponed just a little bit.
Charlie Edwards will punt. This is the first punt of the game for Georgia Southern. Pierre Brown, number 31, is the deep man. He's standing at his own 10-yard line for Elon.
Elon went after that one, didn't quite get there.
And it sails into the end zone, a 42-yard punt. When we come back, it's the offense coming back on the field from the 20-yard line for the Elon Phoenix. SoCon Saturday on Sports South is brought to you by Toyota, by Sherwin-Williams, by Geico, and by CT&T. Back to Paulson Stadium, the leaders for the Phoenix, as expected. Scott Riddle over 200 yards passing in the first half. Millette, 96 yards. That included a 46-yard hookup with Riddle, the longest pass play of the season for Elon. And not much rushing, just 5 yards and a couple of sacks involved in that statistic. Riddle pumps and throws. Millette tried to make the juggling grab near midfield, knocked down and defensed well by LaRon Scott.
Well, if you remember at halftime, the coach said to us in no uncertain terms, we're not happy with him getting the field and getting out jumped for the ball. They certainly were not that time. LaRon Scott, who was the big important on their kickoff return, makes the play.
Aaron Millette coming off a career day at Richmond. 18 catches to set a school record, 195 yards and 2 touchdowns for Millette.
Little change the play.
Looking for Sean Jeffcoat. And Carson Hill, number 24 in blue and white on the coverage of Jeffcoat.
A little bit of contact down there, more offensively than defensively, fighting to get into position. As long as both the guys are looking back, that incidental contact will be overlooked. As long as both guys are looking back for the ball.
Elon 4 of 7 on third down in the game. Came into the game tied for second in the conference on third down, 45% conversion rate.
Elon's defense did the job. Georgia Southern's defense has the big final exam right here, 3rd and 10.
Riddle complete over the middle near the 30-yard line, and it should be good enough for a first down. 11 yards on the play to Keir Brown with a catch. LaRon Scott with the tackle.
And that was just right. You know, the receivers are taught to go down, make sure you get enough for the first down on the catch. And he goes a yard, maybe a yard and a half past the first down yardage right there. And then, of course, the tackle, I don't think he gains anything. He doesn't. But he caught the ball for the first down.
First catch of the game for the freshman from Charlotte, North Carolina, Keir Brown. A rushing attempt from Brandon Newsome. And again, in the first half, just 5 yards total rushing for Elon. They only rushed it 8 times. A couple of sacks also for Georgia Southern. Newsome, the senior from Windsor, Virginia, leading rusher on the team, came in with 167 total yards, and that'll tell you what this Elon offense is all about. And offensive coordinator Rich Skrosky.
Yeah, they're waiting, though, on Jamal Schumann to get back, their starting tailback. He should be back for maybe the Appalachian State game a few weeks down the road.
From the shotgun and complete, Jeremy Peterson out near the 40-yard line. Derek Hayden with the tackle. Scott Riddle, who has put up some amazing numbers in the Southern Conference. Led the league the last 3 years in passing.
Battling DJ Coleman over at the University of Chattanooga to do it for 4 years in a row. He'd be the first quarterback in SoCon history to do that. He's already done it 3 times.
He is now over 11,000 yards passing in his career. And that is a conference record and leads all active players in the football championship subdivision. Folks, you're looking at the most prolific passer in the history of this conference. Is the catch made up near the 46? No, it isn't. And the officials got together on that one, Sam White, and made the proper call.
They did, and you jinxed him. You're just talking about how proficient he is, and Scott Riddle is. But that one time, he underthrows this one just a little bit. Remember, if any part of that ball, or if it's cupped so that the ground is helped to catch the ball, it's an incomplete pass. That was a close one, though, but incomplete. So the Georgia Southern defense does what the Elon defense did. Holds the offense and makes them punt.
Robinson is deep. Punt from Reese. It's going to roll out of bounds right near the 35-yard line for Georgia Southern. 9:05 to go in the third quarter after a 26-yard punt, tied at 14. This is SoCon Saturday from Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. Elon and Georgia Southern. Tom Wormy along with former Furman walk-on quarterback Sam White. The Phoenix in the white, the Eagles in the blue, and they're tied at 14, Coach.
You know, we just saw John Reese punt the ball. He didn't get a very good punt. He's normally a very good kicker. He warmed up, and they made a decision. He was injured, had a shoulder injury, not a foot injury or leg injury, but they're worried about him catching that ball. If he does not punt, it'll be Scott Riddle, the quarterback, that'll be the punter.
And that punt only going 26 yards for Reese and out of bounds, right about the 35-yard line of Georgia Southern. 1st and 10 for the Eagles. 9:05 to go in the third quarter. Up to the 41-yard line, a 6-yard gain on first down. That is Toby Akinarani, the senior from Atlanta, Georgia.
Centennial High School there. He was a walk-on, as well as myself. I believe you pointed that out way
Yes.
too many times so far in this game.
Last week at Coastal Carolina for Akinarani, 6 carries and 48 yards. And the win on the road impressively for Georgia Southern, winning 43-26. That was a 3-point game late in the fourth quarter. Robinson close to the first down. Should be good enough for a first down from Robinson after 5 yards on the carry, maybe 6. Blake Thompson, number 6 for Elon, made the tackle of Darius Robinson, freshman, Brunswick, Georgia.
Blake Thompson is a safety now, having to come up and make the play. He's got the pitch guy. As he comes up to make that play right there, not quite enough because of the speed of Robinson. Darius Robinson, one of those quick scooters that can, once he plants a foot and goes upfield, he's going to make yards. He's going to make them in a hurry. 75
yards thus far in the game rushing for Robinson. Again, they give it to the fullback, Akinarani. And number 44, who did fumble earlier in the game, clinging to that one, Lionel Schaffner. Number 42 makes the tackle after 6 yards on the play for Akinarani.
Akinarani is we were told he would play a good bit tonight, but because of the success of Banks earlier in the ball game, really hadn't had as many opportunities. But he's a very productive runner as well.
Lee Banks, number 35, a huge factor in the first half rushing for Georgia Southern. Akinarani again, and eventually taken down by Schaffner, number 42, 2nd straight tackle for the senior from Greensboro, North Carolina.
We're seeing the defense of Elon fight through the backside blocks much better than they did in the first half, they're just closing the gap. They're just making it very big, so once you get through the first hole, the runner doesn't have a left or a right cut. He's got to go straight up the field, and that's when those safeties come into play and make, along with the linebackers, and make those plays.
7 of 11 on third down for Georgia Southern. From the 45 of Elon, 3rd and 2. Akinarani puts his head down. Runs into a wall of defenders. It will depend on the spot.
Well, the line judge down here at the bottom of the screen is clearly a first down. I believe he's going to be the one that prevails.
First down, Georgia Southern.
That was I'm going to make this on my own if I have to kind of a run. Hard, low, accelerating through the hole rather than decelerating.
Number 44 goes 5'11", 219, and a senior. And there's number 35, Banks, into the game. For Georgia Southern, that had such an impressive first half rushing for Banks. 70 yards on 13 carries in the first half. And a little misdirection play there and well executed. And it's Darian Robinson going out of bounds. Chandler Reitenberry forced him out. 12-yard pickup for Georgia Southern and another first down. Close to the 30 of Elon.
Elon defense again trying to shift. Now they're going to go this way, and the ball goes the other way, so they missed. They guessed and got a little bit as to which way they think the ball is going to go. That time they guessed wrong, but you could see at the snap they were moving late and actually got themselves in a pretty tough blocking position. Where they could get blocked.
Robinson now 10 carries for 88 yards for number 7. Spreading the wealth there, and this is Banks. So you've got Akinarani, Robinson, Banks. The waves of rushers for Georgia Southern continuing to slam into that defensive line and secondary of the Elon Phoenix.
What we've had, though, is 2 defenses that have come out here, at least in the first exchange of possessions here. 2 defenses that have just been playing harder and a little bit smarter than they did. When I say smart, they weren't playing stupid at all, but now they've picked up on a few things and made the adjustments. The defenses are tougher.
Eagles down to the 27 of Elon. Started the drive on their own 35. This is Wilcox on the outside. Speed on the edge. Turn the corner. Inside the 15 and a first down.
You said the right word, speed on the edge. The speed will account for any kind of adjustment that defense makes. 14 yards that time. Just on pure speed. He accelerated, started up into the hole, and then darted back to the outside. And that's, you know, once you freeze a defender or make him hesitate. When you hesitate on defense, you're generally wrong. But you got to play smart too. You can't overrun the play.
This is the SoCon opener for both teams. Georgia Southern 8 and 9 in SoCon openers. The current drive in its 9th play. And that was a big stick in the middle by Joshua Jones on Banks, who has taken some filling, rattling hits so far in the game.
I'm going to just make a little red zone comment right here. So far, when teams have gotten in position, both these teams, they've scored. 14-14 is a halftime score. This red zone possession for both sides is very important. 3 points versus 7 may be the difference in this ball game. They're both even.
Georgia Southern 2 for 2 in the red zone. Couple of rushing touchdowns from Jabo Shaw of 1 and 2 yards. Officially, both coming in the second quarter. Second and long. Whistles and flags, yes. It'll go against the Eagles.
We're in part of the snap. False start. Number 18. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Lavelle Westbrooks. Just the second penalty of the game for Georgia Southern.
I think that was J.J. Wilcox in 19. They called 18, but I believe it was Wilcox who was in the ball game. They certainly talking to him like he was the guy, and they brought him out of the game for this play.
It would have to be, because we were told that Lavelle Westbrooks would be unavailable for the game tonight.
Right.
So that'll move the ball back. 16 or 17-yard line. Quick strike and complete inside the 5. Mitch Williford, number 81, taken down by Thompson.
That was an important play because that puts them after a 13-yard gain on second down. Now they only have to go 1 yard. Do you hear me now? I'm saying that. I'm telling you,
very close to a fresh set of downs, and a beautiful pass right here by Shaw to Mitch Williford, a sophomore from Duluth, Georgia. Just his 3rd catch of the season, Sam. 3rd and short for the Eagles. Inside the 5 of Elon. All tied at 14. Robinson to the house for the Eagles.
There's that pitch again, scored to the right side in the first half, to the left side here in the second half. It's tough to keep an offense like this completely shut out. It's tough to keep an Elon passing offense shut down. They're going to make some plays on both sides.
A 4-yard touchdown run for Robinson. Morrow with the extra point. For Darian Robinson, his first rushing touchdown of the season and the second of his career. And the Eagles lead the Phoenix 21-14 on SoCon Saturday. So with 3:16 to go in the third quarter, the Georgia Southern Eagles have taken a 7-point lead over the Elon Phoenix on the Carolina Ford scoring drive. 11 plays, 65 yards, 5 minutes, 49 seconds. Darian Robinson, second touchdown of his career and the first of the season for number 7.
That was Darian Robinson, I believe you said, not Darius Robinson, number 22.
Right. Darius wears number 22. Darian wears number 7, and he's the player who just took it to the end zone for Georgia Southern. Its 3rd rushing touchdown of the game, to go along with 2 from Jabo Shaw as well in the second quarter. So all 3 touchdowns on the ground for Georgia Southern. 21-14, 3:16 to go in the third quarter. Brown. 23-yard line.
Georgia Southern doing a terrific job of staying in their lanes when they come down the field. Their special teams have been playing very, very well.
Boyd Sasser making the tackle there, number 42, Sam.
They are, you know, when you come down, it's an individual shot. You've got your lane. If he comes in your lane, you get him. If he goes in somebody else's, don't leave your lane to go get him until he obviously is right in your face. 25-yard line, that's from a standpoint of the kickoff return, that's not what they want.
Offside, kicking team, number 34. Elon's elected to have the ball re-kicked, 5-yard penalty.
So we'll kick it again.
Yeah, I get a chance to see if they can do it twice in a row. Carson Hill is another guy that is, it seems to be in the middle of most of these kickoff return tackles. He plays defensive back, of course, so he's got speed and he's used to tackling folks.
Would you have re-kicked this, Sam, had the opposing team re-kicked this with the ball at the 25?
Well, I kind of like it at the 25 because anytime you keep them inside the 30, since they moved the place of the kickoff to the 30-yard line, you know, it used to be the 40-yard line when you were playing.
Yeah, right. So Kier Brown, who is third in the conference in kick returns, he averages over 23 yards per return, will get it again from Jeff Monken and his Georgia Southern Eagles as they will re-kick after the penalty, leading 21-14.
Well, you know, from Pete Lembo's point of view, you're down by 7 here in the second half. You take your shot. It's as good as calling a play in the huddle and trying to move the ball from scrimmage.
Pete Lembo, 5th year, 30-19 overall, 19-11 in conference play. He was also the head coach at Lehigh for 5 years, won a couple of Patriot League titles. Here is Brown again from the 11. And the net gain on the play is going to be about 3 yards, Sam. They will mark it at the 28-yard line. Prior to the penalty, they had it at the 25. When you talk about receivers at Elon, there's only one. Terrell Hudgens, the all-time leading receiver, regardless of division in college football, 395 career receptions, the best at any level. And he hooked up with that man, Scott Riddle, so many times. How about this, Sam? 5,250 career receiving yards. That is the best of the championship subdivision or bowl subdivision.
That's something, but you know, a guy like that, probably not happy he didn't get those last 5 catches to get over that another century mark.
And he will have his number retired next week as Elon will take on Samford at Rhodes Stadium in Elon, North Carolina. Hudgens number 19 to be retired. Number 16, Scott Riddle.
Scott Riddle's getting he's getting a lot of pressure that time from Brent Russell. He's not used to getting hit like he's getting hit up. Not always getting sacked, but you know, on the release, you keep getting popped, it affects you a little bit.
217 total yards for Riddle as he hands off to Newsom. They'll be dropped for a loss. E.J. Webb is in there, number 1, and a loss of 5 yards. Carlos Cave, number 37, also there for the Georgia Southern defense.
You're getting a good flow, contained to the outside, then he turns it back. He can't really go outside. He knows he's going to have to turn up and takes his loss, takes his lump, so to speak. You can feel momentum starting to shift a little bit, just a little bit, towards Georgia Southern.
3rd and 13 from the 26-yard line for Elon. Riddle from the pocket. Runs and heaves it incomplete. Short hop to his intended receiver, Sean Jeffcoat. Javante Martin, number 27 on the coverage. And here comes the punt team for Elon. And the Georgia Southern crowd responding to the effort of its defense.
Well, they should be. That was a terrific job. And right at the very end of that, Brent Russell and quarterback Scott Riddle have a little exchange at the end. Scott Russell's thrown several passes short. I'm just wondering if he hadn't gotten hit and that arm's a little bit tender somewhere, because he is normally so accurate. That's what you do when you get to be such a prolific passer. Any little thing seems to be a problem. There's the punt, not very good this time again.
Robinson lets it bounce out of bounds. Just shy of the 45-yard line. Here's the exchange afterwards, and it's Riddle and 66 Brent Russell. And Riddle has misfired, Sam, on 6 of his last 8 pass attempts.
Well, if I'm a witness to a crime, it looked to me like Brent Russell's made a comment, bumped a little bit. Obviously, that little bump ain't going to hurt anybody. And it got a little bit under Scott Riddle's skin there. He reacted, shouldn't have, because that official could throw the flag to the second guy. Here's leading rushers for Georgia Southern. Lee Banks, yeah, that's a lot of yards for 4 different running backs.
Here's Banks up towards midfield. They will mark it on the Elon side of the football field after a 6-yard gain for number 35, Banks.
Now Elon's defense has an important job right here. They need to take away the momentum that Georgia Southern has. Got a little injury. Looks like taking.
That is Brett Moore, number 57.
Right. He's also the long snapper, so you get doubly hurt when you get a guy injured like that.
It's funny, he was the long snapper last year and asked the coach if he could change his position. They put him on the offensive line, and he has been solid along that offensive line. Bird, Byrne, Mann, Maxwell, and Moore. The offensive line for Georgia Southern. SoCon Saturday, presented all season long by Blimpie, America's sub shop. Grab a sandwich from Blimpie and settle in for the final quarter, and 1:48 to go here in the third, as we saw Brett Moore hustle off the field under his own strength. 2nd and 4 as the Eagles dominate the time of possession as expected with that triple option running game attack.
Time of possession. What a great job of ball handling that time.
That's Hickey making the rush after the fake up the middle, and Hickey gets 10.
They just keep bringing in back after back, and they're making the same yards. It's the system that's part of that. But when I talked about it earlier in the ball game, before the ball game, the time of possession, Georgia Southern is 4 minutes better than their opponents. 4 minutes better than Elon has been possessing the ball. And when it comes down to it, you start wearing down the defense that way, and you also get more opportunities to score.
23 first downs for the Eagles. They continue on this drive with 1:14 to go in the third quarter. Shaw, little flip out. Robinson shakes at the 30, dances at the 20, and dives down to the 15.
What a terrific play by the quarterback, Jabo Shaw. 23 yards on the run, but it was all set up by, look how long Shaw holds the ball before he lets it go. Right at the last second, takes his little shot. Robinson is off to the races.
Four carries, 42 yards for Robinson. First down, another pitch. Hickey to the 10. Joshua Jones on the tackle, number 50 for Elon. 6 yards on the play for Nico Hickey, the junior, Columbus, Georgia.
Travis Green that time, number 47 for Elon, comes up the field. Boy, he is just a fingertip away from getting a little bit on the football, causing a fumble, or maybe intercepting that pitch. That one came very close. The defensive adjustment was to get more penetration up the field, and you can see it. Still a 3-man line, though.
Georgia Southern perfect in the red zone. 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 for Shaw, 1 for Robinson. They go right up the middle, get close to the 5, but more importantly, could be another first down. And a 1st and goal situation on the final play of the third quarter. So we are headed to the final 15 minutes from Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. The Eagles have the lead 21-14, and Georgia Southern is knocking on the door one more time. When we come back, it's the fourth quarter from Statesboro on SoCon Saturday. The final quarter in Statesboro, Georgia, with the Eagles leading the Phoenix 21-14. Couple of top 25 teams in the football championship subdivision. Our blimpy stats through three quarters. And look at the rushing for Georgia Southern, Coach.
Well, Jordan, look at the total yards there. 222 for Elon, 411 for Georgia Southern. They have mixed the passing game into that already tough offensive running game. And here they are knocking on the door again, third and short.
From the 7-yard line, first play of the final quarter. Shaw has it inside the 5.
Smart running. He wanted to pitch that ball maybe for the touchdown, but he didn't risk a turnover. He knew he could get the first down and keep the ball or keep the chains moving. He's taking some hits now, I'm telling you. That's a lot. That's a lot of punch coming into you. I don't care how well you're trained. Those hurt.
Georgia Southern now 10 for 14 on third down in the game. Up the middle to the goal line into the end zone. Akinarani, number 44 for Georgia Southern.
Again, wide splits. Defensive end in that three-man line is having to line up on the tackle. And if he takes one step upfield, the quarterback's going to give it to the fullback.
The extra point is good. Toby Akinarani, the senior from Atlanta, Georgia, with his second touchdown of the season from 4 yards out. 28-14, Eagles on top of the Phoenix. (28-14), the Eagles on top of the Phoenix with 14:33 to go in the fourth quarter. Toby Akinarani with the final touches on this drive. And now Georgia Southern 4 for 4 in the red zone, all rushing touchdowns for the Eagles as Akinarani plows through the front door.
Well, we talked about momentum having shifted a little bit. It's a little bit more now. Now what has happened is you put Elon in a position where field goal is out of the picture in the fourth quarter. You want to score touchdowns. You have to score touchdowns.
That drive for Georgia Southern went 7 plays, 56 yards, 2.5 minutes. 28-14 Eagles. Brown runs up to this one at the 16. Beyond the 30 to the 32 or 3, and a 17-yard return for Brown.
This is one of those possessions where you need to score pretty quick because Georgia Southern's been using the clock when they get the ball, and you know you're going to get the ball usually 3 times in a quarter. Well, Elon knows that they've got 2 left. This one and one more possibly because of the way the offense of Georgia Southern is running. But they can do it. They've got that kind of down the field throw, one big play. They can hit it. He's missed 8 of his last 8 pass attempts. That is
6 of 8, Sam. But yes, either way, it's not good numbers for Scott Riddle, who is normally so consistent and clutch.
You know where they've gone to? They've fallen short. They've been low throws. I'm not saying he's hurt or anything, but that is unusual for him. He usually gets that ball right up around the sternum.
Yeah, and he usually gets it done against Georgia Southern coming into the game. 5 touchdown passes and 949 total yards in his 3 previous games against the Eagles, and he is swarmed under. Brent Russell leads that blue defense, and they swallow up Scott Riddle.
Remember, Brent Russell was the altercation guy with Scott Riddle after that last series, but you've got speed. Look at the quickness of those defensive linemen coming off the ball and the power as they come off. That time Rod Tinsley just ran over the left side of, sure it was the left guard or left tackle, but he was just powered in there.
Elon.
3 of them on him.
Elon, Sam, loses 9 yards on the play. Riddle flips it out. First man misses. The second man misses, and that was A.J. Harris with the moves before Roderick Tinsley, number 94, got to him. Also stops the clock, too, Sam.
Yeah, well, it stops it momentarily. Clock will, be reset after the ball is placed. But the important thing there was they've left themselves in a third down and manageable position instead of having to go for that long. Quick throw out into the flat. Making people miss after that. You're on your own.
Here's third down.
Yeah.
Officially 3rd and 8 for Riddle from the shotgun. 5 of 10 of the game on third down for the Elon Phoenix. Quick trigger. Intercepted. LaRon Scott to the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia Southern. .36 yards for LaRon Scott. Picks it off and goes the distance for Georgia Southern.
Well, watch the quarterback. You never double pump. See that pump, a little bit of a pump? Well, everybody stops and closes if you're a defensive guy just on the start of that shoulder rotation. And then he pulled it back and threw it again to the same guy. The position was already, the anticipation was already paying off. Ron Scott, a lot of quickness, a lot of speed. Remember, he's a kickoff return guy, so you know he can do it.
Number 34 steps in the passing lane and takes it all the way. 35-14 Georgia Southern on SoCon Saturday. (35-14) Georgia Southern on top of Elon after the 36-yard touchdown return for LaRon Scott, and that is the Toyota play of the game from number 34.
Well, that's a great jump on the ball. You got a receiver that's going to come down and just stop. He's going to turn around. He's trying to sit in between zones, but LaRon Scott is so quick, and he got a little edge. Now, we pointed it out. Anytime a quarterback is looking at one guy and starts that shoulder rotation, it doesn't have to be much, and then comes back and rewinds. It costs him maybe 3/10 of a second. Well, shoot, a defender can cover a good 3 yards in that amount of time because you got to count now how long the ball is in the air.
4th career interception for LaRon Scott as he takes this one to the end zone. Keep in mind, Elon has won the last 3 meetings between these two teams going back to 2007. That was the first ever win for Elon against this Georgia Southern program, and it happened in Elon, North Carolina. There is a flag on the return by Brown. Time for the Waste Management game summary. 35-14, 13 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Lee Banks, number 35, has been a deciding factor, up to 90 yards now, and Scott Riddle has thrown 2 interceptions, one of them resulting in 7 points.
Return team number 18. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Still time, though, for Elon to get right back in this game with their attack, with their passing attack, because they get big chunks. Times A.J. Harris have called for a penalty and have moved the return back to the 15-yard line. 13 minutes to go. A lot of time left in a game like this. A couple of weeks ago, we were in Chattanooga and Appalachian State. It went back and forth till the last play of the game, and the Guards tried for 2 points.
Never over when Scott Riddle is in the offensive backfield. Millette on the catch. Past the 20, up to the 23 or 4, but there is a flag in the offensive backfield of Elon. And when it rains, Sam White, it pours.
Yeah, it's Corey Shea, the tackle. I think they're going to call this on number 78.
Number 67. 10-yard penalty. Previous spot. First down.
67 is John Rubertone. 78 is Corey O'Shea. Either way, it's a penalty against the Phoenix with 12:54 to go.
O'Shea had that look like head down afterwards. It looked like he was the guy, but he wasn't. It was Rubertone, John Rubertone. He's one of the team captains for this Elon Phoenix.
Clock running, 12:48 to go. Newsome has the catch to the 20. Up to the 25. He did not go out of bounds. Might be first down yardage, but the clock will continue. Derek Hayden on the tackle for Georgia Southern.
The main thing now, of course, is to get a score. And if you think you might be able to cut back and break it for the distance, you go ahead and take that chance. I don't fault it for not going out of bounds on that one, although you'd like to stop that clock anytime you can from Elon's standpoint.
418 total yards for the Georgia Southern Eagles, well above their season average of 339. And Elon, prior to this play here, just 28 yards in the second half. This Elon offense, Sam, total offense 441 yards per game, third best in the conference, 14th in the nation, being held down. And Pete Lembo has a lot of questions, I'm sure, that he is formulating as he takes a glance at that scoreboard and sees he trails right now 35-14. Riddle to pass, wide open man. Jeff Coat up to the 48-yard line. Chains are going to move for Elon with their biggest enemy right now, that clock, with 11:47 to go.
Jeff Coat's not covered. There's nobody around him up here. And that's just an automatic with the quarterback and the receiver. If nobody comes out and covers you, that's blown alignment, not just blown coverage. Get him the ball quick, get up the field. That might have been one he should have run out of bounds. Could have run out of bounds.
First year for Jeff Monken, an assistant here at Georgia Southern from 97 to 2001 under Paul Johnson, knows about the championship tradition. Deep pass to Brown, too strong from Riddle.
Trying to get Derek Hayden to bite on that a little bit. Number 4 for Georgia Southern. He had the deep middle, and he bites for one step. The receiver runs behind that intention inside, and quarterback's got to anticipate that. Just overthrew him. That's twice Scott Riddle has overthrown that particular pass tonight.
Brown down to the 42. Give him 10 on the pass play.
First down.
Move the chains as well for the Phoenix.
Of course, every time you score a first down, that stops that clock until they move and set the change. So there's a chance to get a play in without call a play at the line of scrimmage without using that clock.
Riddle with the time. Heaves it to the end zone. Had a couple of receivers in the vicinity. Had Jeffcoat and Peterson back there, but the pass was too long.
You're going to see that. You're going to see every so often, whatever their judgment is, they're going to go deep, try to get the big chunk and the big quick score. Certainly have the quarterback to do it, have the offense to do it. No substitutions offensively, same receivers after a long run. Come back, they got to get the breath in a hurry.
Scott Riddle now 19 of 35, 269 yards, couple of touchdowns, couple of interceptions, and another pass play completion for Riddle. LaRon Scott on the tackle, 7 yards on the play to Jeremy Peterson.
Elon obviously playing a 4-down territory right now at the 35-yard line here in the fourth quarter and down by 3 scores.
Riddle coming up on his average for the season of 281 yards passing per game. This time he hits Jeffcoat. Riddle took a hit on the play too, Sam.
Josh Rowe came right up the middle. I don't think anybody laid a hand on him and hit Riddle on the release, and he knew how much time he had. No time. Just get rid of it.
Quick release from Scott Riddle, the senior from Ramseur, North Carolina. Also plays on the baseball team, plays third base for the Elon baseball team, which went to the NCAA tournament last year. Newsom got away from a shoestring tackle at the 30 and got down to the 26. 5 yards on the play for Newsom. John Douglas, 92 on the tackle.
Yeah, anytime you get a quick rush like that, coming back to a draw or a quick screen or a quick handoff like that, hopefully runs by the defense, but the defense played it pretty well, gave up only 5 yards.
Millette, dangerous in the open field, but taken down at the 20. Close to a first down.
It's going to be enough for the first down. Let me go back to that quick throw that when Josh Rowe hit Scott Riddle. Scott Riddle not only has to get rid of the ball quick, he's got to know where everybody is on the field. That's the tough part of being a productive quarterback, is you've got to know where everybody is, and you've got to know what's the worst thing that can happen to me. Well, a quick blitz is the worst thing, and I've got to know who's going to be looking quick with me.
Riddle with a pump. Throws it up and out of bounds. And the pressure was coming. 94, Roderick Tinsley. He's a junior from Soperton, Georgia. And Tinsley comes up, clutching his rib cage and his left arm dangling to his side.
You know, they don't have a senior in that starting defensive line. This is a young defensive line. Junior, sophomore, junior. Tinsley is a junior.
So Tinsley goes to the bench. Second down, 10 to go for Elon. 9.5 minutes remaining in the game. Newsom on the inside carry, just a couple of yards there.
You know, after they've had several plays where the Elon the receivers have had to run deep down the field, calling a run in a situation like that gives them a chance to get a little bit of extra time to get a blow. Brendan Newsom came into this game only about 90%. Did not play against Richmond. Newsom is down, number 2. Here's the, you never know what's hurting when a guy gives you this look right here, because I don't see him pointing to anything. I don't see him working on anything in particular. Sometimes you just get hit and you can't catch your breath.
Elon into the red zone, 2 of 3, both touchdowns so far tonight. The record in 09, 9-3. And SoCon record, their only loss was to Appalachian State at home. And the Phoenix making its first appearance in the football championship subdivision playoffs. They played Richmond in that first game as well, the team they lost to in overtime last week.
Look at those big numbers on offense.
And they had such a great defense last year as well, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Top-ranked defense in the conference.
With the special teams to go along with that. I mean, they were a complete football team, and still are. They just got up against an opponent that's really motivated tonight.
Lembo, the 2007 Coach of the Year. Millette makes the catch, and he will go to the end zone untouched. Touchdown for the Phoenix. 19 yards on the play. The 13th play of the drive, and Elon is in the end zone.
Outstanding blocking down the field, and that's just a quick screen, but you've got to get Lyman to get out. That time Ned Cuthbertson came out. I think he took 2 people out here. Watch right there, the left tackle. He's going to slip out there. Now watch, right there. That's pretty good blocking down the field, folks, for a big old guy. 286-pound junior at 6'4".
So that makes it 35-21. On the 19-yard pass play, Riddle just flipped it out to Millette. And he just took it right to the end zone without being touched. So for Scott Riddle, his 3rd touchdown pass of the game. And it's now 35-21. 8:52 to go in the game. (35-21), Georgia Southern with the lead in front of this enthusiastic crowd of all ages, but there is some concern now as the Carolina Ford scoring drive goes 13 plays, 85 yards, just over 4 minutes. Aaron Millette with the touchdown grab. Third touchdown pass of the game from Scott Riddle.
A little subtle look to the right by Scott Riddle that time. Just getting that coverage to freeze. And you're probably not going to move them very far, but just holds them long enough for those blockers to get into position. And we saw the great block by Cuthbertson on that play.
The 5th touchdown catch of the season for Aaron Millette, sophomore from Sanford, North Carolina. Riddle now over 300 yards passing in the game, above his average of 281 per game this season. Second best in the conference, 8th best in the nation for Scott Riddle. That ball was bouncing around. Georgia Southern has it.
Boy, the Elon coaches and players are all saying, we got it. I don't know what they saw, but remember, if that ball is pooched, if it's in the air, you can fair catch it. But if it touches, if it's a one-hopper, just a quick one-hop, let's see what it is. Yeah, it's a quick one-hop. That hit the ground and then bounced. So that ball is in play. If it goes 10 yards, it's anybody's ball, but it still has to go 10 yards. Yeah, Georgia Southern's got it.
Calvin West was the player who fell on it. Here's 35. What a move by Banks. First down, a stiff arm, and he drags 3 and 4 would-be tacklers out of bounds. Who is Lee Banks? We found out tonight, Sam Weich.
Watch what he does to Ronnie Hardison, a defensive back. Now, this is a guy that is not as big, not as heavy, ought to be quicker, and is quick. He's a good player. Watch. Boom. There he goes. You saw him go down. Lee Banks just made him miss. Made another man miss down the field. We'll get a little look right here. Watch coming up. There's the jump. Lost 2 of them that time.
113 yards rushing for Lee Banks. He'll add a couple more right there on that carry. And once again, we reiterate, coming into the game, Lee Banks had 2 carries for 8 yards.
Well, he is, you know, just give me a chance, coach. Just put me in. He's taking advantage of that one. The other thing you do is you've got to stay with it at practice. You know you're not going to play much, and then you got to practice hard. You got to keep the coach knowing you're in the program, and look what good things can happen.
What I like about Lee Banks, Sam, is that he is not afraid of contact when they come at him when he's carrying the football. He's come up woozy and wobbly a couple of times, yet number 35 is still in the game for Georgia Southern. There's a pitch. Robinson, 20-yard line, and slides down inside the 20, maybe to the 18.
Once again, that pitch. Now this is kind of a dangerous offense. You're pitching that ball. They pick up 4 yards there, but they could have very easily. But that ball could have been tapped, and then it'd be a scramble. But it is obviously a high return, high risk offense.
You know, Jeff Monken during the week when talking to Sam and I was very humble about the fact that he didn't believe his team deserved the praise it was getting. Sam, should this score hold up early on in the season, they would more than definitely deserve the praise that they've gotten so far.
Well, they played well from start to finish in this ball game. There's no question about it. And they haven't excelled in just one area. They've been able to spread it out. And remember, you're playing one of the top 10 teams in the nation in Elon. And they're a team that is used to winning. They're a team that has pride. They're a team that is able to come back, and they're hanging right in.
Just about 100 yards over the season average in rushing for Georgia Southern, which coming into the game was 238 yards per game rushing, 4th in the conference, 12th in the nation.
Here's a 4th down play. They're going to go for it.
4th and 2. Robinson got it. Lost the football. He hung on to the football. It was a shoe that came flying up, and now there's a late flag as well. It was a shoe, not a football, as he returns the shoe to its proper place, and the flag
holding
against Elon.
Yeah. Now, exactly why were you confused looking at a shoe?
They both have laces and stripes, by the way.
All right, I don't get many chances like that.
Personal foul, defense, number 6. Half the distance, automatic, first down.
That's Blake Thompson.
There goes the shoe.
Yeah,
But he
clearly a shoe.
He hung on to the football. Got to check the focus on my binoculars.
It's going to happen after the play is over with, obviously.
Hey, shoe or not, he almost drove that one right into the end zone. First and goal, Georgia Southern. 6:14 to go and counting. Yeah, that looked awkward from the start as they gave it to Banks, but whistles and flags prior to the play.
They had a little movement in the offensive line because the defensive line was shifting as well.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 77, 5-yard penalty, first down.
The offensive line, Blake DeBartolo. That time just a little bit ahead of the snap count.
Again, this game was tied at halftime, 14-all, and you can understand the frustration of the Elon sideline. As Georgia Southern went up 35-14 in the fourth. Elon had a touchdown on its most recent possession, but here comes Georgia Southern looking to score one more time right up the middle. Jordan Jones, number 59, with the tackle. Banks is in the pile with the football, with both shoes on too, Sam.
I'm going to bring that up to you for the rest of the season.
I would expect nothing less. Pete Lembo not quite as pleased on that Elon sideline.
Well, you know, they're sound. They're just getting beaten right now. There's still 5 minutes 30 left, 5:25. Important series for Elon's defense right here to keep them out of that end zone.
Second and goal from the 5. 5:15 to go in the game. 35-21. Georgia Southern. Robinson. Cross to the right. Not a whole lot there for Robinson. Darius Robinson, number 22.
Okay, here's an important third down now. Jeff Monk, the coaches over, not just the head coach, the coaches for Georgia Southern have to start saying to themselves, okay, what do we do on fourth down? Do we try a field goal? We're down here where it's almost an extra point. Are our plans to do that, or are our plans to call a play here knowing we're going to go for it on fourth down, eat up a little bit more of the clock? Even if we miss it, we're going to leave. We're going to be ahead by 2 scores, and they're going to be way backed up. My guess is they kick the field goal because that puts them three scores ahead.
Third and goal. Robinson stopped and driven back.
They lost a yard.
A lot of gold and white. You know, even though Robinson was stopped on that play, he, very much like Lee Banks, has responded in a clutch situation. He came into the game with 2 rushes for 8 yards and now has 25 for 118 for Robinson and head coach Jeff Monken. What about the effort from those 2 guys, Sam?
You're telling me they had 4 carries between both of them?
Amazing.
Well, it shows depth is what it does. It shows depth. It shows the guys have been working hard at practice. You don't just come in here and accidentally have a game like this. You come in here because you're prepared as if you were going to start, even though you know you're not going to.
You know, Lee Banks looks like a guy who wakes up in the morning and is looking for the handoff. He is just ready to go. One of the vogue terms nowadays is the guy has a great motor, and I think Banks has a diesel in there. He just keeps on going. Wobbly or not, he just gets up and goes. So it's 4th and goal. We'll take a moment here and look at the standings. Appalachian State on the top. But Georgia Southern closing in on its victory in its SoCon opener. Chattanooga leading Western Carolina in the 4th. Furman has already scored a victory over the Citadel today. So here's a field goal attempt. It is the first of the game. 22-yard field goal attempt from Adrian Mora. And it's good.
It's good. And those are an important 3 points because you can't go down and go for 2 on both your scores and still win, and have a chance to win. You've got to score 3 times. That means you've got to get possession 3 times. That means that Elon, of course, will be onside kicking the rest of the way if they can get in the end zone the first time.
That was a 9-play drive, 42 yards, but more importantly, it took up 4 minutes and 27 seconds, and Adrian Mora connecting from 22 yards away. Adrian Mora now is 5 for 5 on field goal attempts. And Georgia Southern also 5 for 5 in the red zone. 4 touchdowns and the field goal from Mora. And now time for the RBC Bank player of the game. And it's the rushing attack of the Eagles. Banks, Robinson, the other Robinson. Select your name.
Banks again. Let's say it twice.
How about Akinarani? He had a touchdown.
Absolutely. And Darius Robinson had piled up some important yards and an important score in the first half on a pitch going to the other side just like that.
Don't forget Jabo Shaw with 2 rushing touchdowns as well.
Absolutely. They played well tonight. Beautiful. Okay, field position for Elon.
Jeffcoat with the return into Georgia Southern territory, and Edwards had to tackle him out of bounds.
Now, Tom, here's the other thing that enters into this ballgame. Both teams are tired. It's been a hot, humid day. Both teams are fatigued. Now they've got to find some extra energy somewhere, somehow to make the big play.
Scott Riddle, 23 of 40, which is right on his average for passing attempts per game. 305 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He now has 10 touchdowns for the season, and for his career, he has 88 touchdown passes. That is a conference record. A.J. Harris making the catch right at the marker.
They're going to call it complete and enough for a first down. It was right there. They called it quick, though, because they know, the officials know that time is important here. They want to make those decisions in a hurry for the offense. Give them a chance.
Riddle steps up. It was deflected. Brown tried to adjust on the football, couldn't make the grab. Stops the clock, 3:55 to go.
Here's where you find out a lot about your football team when you're behind, when you're a good team, and Elon will be a good team when they walk off this field, win or lose. But here's where you find out a guy like Scott Riddle, who's he's already thrown it 42 times. You mentioned 56 times last week against Richmond, but he averages throwing the ball around 40 times a ball game.
Those 56 attempts against Richmond, a career high for Scott Riddle as he passes one more time to A.J. Harris, who alertly scampers out of bounds at the 35. They'll mark him at the 36 after a 7-yard gain.
The other aspect of this game is, remember, if Elon scores, they've got to kick off to Georgia Southern. If Georgia Southern recovers that onside kick, they go back to that time-consuming triple option. This is when it pays off late in the game to have an offense like that.
3rd down into the sure hands of Aaron Millette. Incomplete.
Just took his eye off of it for an instant because he wanted to catch it and reverse his field, spin back to the right, and when he did, he dropped it. You can see him just at the very end of the play, kind of looking like I'm going to go back the other way. Oh, the ball's not here.
So Elon forced to go for it on 4th down. 4 of 5 on the season. They are best in the conference on 4th down conversions. But this one is incomplete. Sam, that was a short hop pass. We saw that way too often for head coach Pete Lembo's liking this evening here in Statesboro.
Yeah, this has not been, this has not been as good as Scott Riddle can be. Let's just kind of put it in. That's just not even good English.
I know what you're trying to say. And
I'm used to seeing him. We're all used to seeing him play a little bit better than that. Now, it's a team sport. One guy didn't come out here and have an off night a little bit for him.
No, but one guy is the Geico fan of the game, Sam White. He wears his sunglasses at night here at Paulson Stadium. Shaw. Pitch. Look at him go. Nico Hickey.
Nico Hickey has only had a few tries. He lost a shoe, or somebody did.
That was Robinson, Sam.
Oh, my goodness.
37 yards on the play for Hickey.
It's rampant. Because being careful with the football is important right here. Jabo Shaw is really careful with that pitch. Down the sideline, stay on that sideline, make sure you get all you can, but stop.
How about the block from Robinson, number 7, right there, Sam, too?
Absolutely, all the way down the field.
Yeah, that's on Ronnie Hardison. Those plays don't work without the proper blocking assignments. 1st and 10, Georgia Southern. in control. Just over 3 minutes to go. Whistle, stop the play dead. Flag on the play. Larry Malum with the call.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, 61, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So Jeff Monken patrolling that sideline. Whatever words he had for his team at halftime, Sam, they were most effective based on what has happened here in the second half.
Well, I'm guessing he probably looked a lot like he does right now. They're leading by 3 scores, and they have that penalty, and look at him. He's upset like it's going to make a big difference in this ballgame. I think it's a little late right now for it to, but that's the kind of attitude he brings to this football team, because players play like the coach's temperament is. And
Shaw fumbled. Shaw fumbled, but it looked like a blue shirt pounced on it. It'll stay with Georgia Southern. Now for the Eagles, they will have a week off and then host Wofford. Their next game October 9th. But they will enter that game against Wofford, should our score hold here with 2:17 to go, at 3-1. For Jeff Monken in his first season. He was so humble in our discussions with him this week. But the results are showing up. The work that's been done in his first season as the head coach here at Georgia Southern, a dream job. Those are the words that he used after being an assistant here and winning 2 national championships in '99 and 2000. And that identity of the triple option, which brought such great success to this program in the past. 6 national championships, Sam White, the most of any team in the football championship.
Well, that's right. And you go back to Irk Russell, you go back to Paul Johnson, who he spent 13 years here at Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, and Navy, that Jeff Monken did. And he brings it back here. And he said to us this week, he said, you know, we're going to have the same look. These fans, when they see that triple option, it brings back fond memories. They Tracy Ham and all the great quarterbacks that they've had here at Georgia Southern. The fans get into this. And first thing that happens, you start packing these stands. There's the number 8 retired here. And Irk Russell, look at the 3 balls there representing 3 national titles. But these fans are used to this style of offense being the reason that they were winners. And here they see it again, and boy, does that excite them.
First national championship for this program coming back in 1985 under Irk Russell. They beat the Furman Paladins 44-42 back in '85. No team in the football championship subdivision has more playoff wins than the Georgia Southern Eagles, but they have not been to the playoffs since 2005. You saw the number of Tracy Ham, number 8. A couple of other notable players from the past. Jason Foster, who won the Walter Payton Award as the top offensive player in the football championship subdivision.
Yep.
And then prior to him, back in '99, Adrian Peterson, running back here at Georgia Southern, also winning the Walter Payton Award, which has been won by a Southern Conference player the last 3 years in a row, because Armani Edwards won it in both 2008 and 2009. Just over a minute to go. 38-21. Georgia Southern in front. We were tied at 14 at halftime. And this tradition-rich program is going to have the attention of the entire country in the football championship subdivision after this win over the 11th-ranked Elon Phoenix. As we've got a timeout on the field.
Talk about the Walter Payton Award, which is the top player in the FCS. Offensive player. And Scott Riddle, who tonight I'm sure is disappointed, but this guy had big numbers tonight. But just by his standards, the bar is set so high for him that, and he is one of the players that's being watched to be a winner this year in the Walter Payton Award.
If you recall, Sam, in the fourth quarter, it was 28-14. When Riddle threw that interception to LaRon Scott, who took it back 36 yards for the touchdown to make it 35-14. And Georgia Southern has hung on to that lead here with 1:06 to go, 38-21. This program of such great tradition here on 4th down, 16 times to the football championship subdivision playoffs. And the catch made by Mitch Williford. Right at the marker.
You know, this has to be gratifying for not only for the coaches but for the fans and everybody else. These guys have been able to execute and make big plays through the air tonight. And they look at the coverage. The guy's all over him. He's covering him like a glove, and he still makes the catch. This is not like Elon is not playing well defensively. They are. They're playing very well. Georgia Southern's just making plays.
We'll get a measurement here after the catch by Mitch Williford. This Georgia Southern program began in 1924. They had to end it, though, Sam, because of World War II. First down. They restarted it in 1982 under Irk Russell. Went on to win 3 national championships, 85, 86, and 89. Tracy Ham, the quarterback on the 85 and 86 teams. And now the name on everyone's lips is Jabo Shaw and Jeff Monken and Lee Banks, Darius Robinson.
Well, it's a good feeling when you can take those headsets off and kind of enjoy the moment. With less than a minute to go, they can just snap the ball and kneel down and win this ball game, and they deserve to win. They beat an outstanding football team in Elon, but they deserve it tonight.
While Monken was an assistant here at Georgia Southern under Paul Johnson, the team went 62-10 and had 5 playoff appearances and went to the national championship game 3 times. Flags come out. Monken wants to control his players.
That's a coach that is still involved in this ballgame. May have taken those headsets off, but boy, he's still got his attention.
Personal foul. Defense number 20. After this is from the previous spot, automatic first down.
You want to maintain some sportsmanship. And just a little over anxious for Brandon Ward. You can certainly understand his frustration, but you want to maintain an atmosphere of sportsmanship. A lot of credit to all of the student athletes involved in our SoCon Saturday contest tonight. This is what it's all about, Sam White.
Well, this is fun. If you're a Georgia Southern fan, this you can see the start maybe of something special. And remember, this is a young team. They did not recruit in order to have an offense like this. Most of these players were recruited by Coach Hatcher before he left. And as you pointed out earlier, when Chris Hatcher came here, he only had 13 days his first year, so he had a short first recruiting class.
Over 18,000 witnessing Georgia Southern and head coach Jeff Monken snapping the 3-game losing streak to the Elon Phoenix. Georgia Southern and its potent rushing attack winning it 38-21 over the 11th ranked Elon Phoenix, as the coaches Pete Lembo for Elon, Jeff Monken for Georgia Southern meeting at midfield. A fantastic college football game between these two teams and a great effort from all of the student athletes here at Paulson Stadium tonight in this wonderful atmosphere for college football. Time to take one more timeout. Again, Georgia Southern winning at 38-21. We'll come back to wrap it up on SoCon Saturday right after this. Georgia Southern can celebrate its 3rd victory of the season, a 38-21 decision over the 11th ranked Elon Phoenix. The Eagles now 3-1 on the season. And they came out with a stellar performance against Elon. It was all tied up at 14, but in the second half, Sam, they controlled the clock, they controlled the game, and won at 38-21 and had a big interception return from the Ron Scott for a touchdown. They got it done in the second half.
Well, they did, and their coach came into the locker room like they were trailing by 2 touchdowns. It was tied 14-14 at halftime. And part of that attitude, that mentality is showing up on the field with the players.
So the updated standings in the Southern Conference, Appalachian State, they are the #1 team in the nation to 4-0. But look at Georgia Southern winning its conference opener, and Georgia Southern making its impression on the national landscape of the football championship subdivision with a victory here at Paulson Stadium. Once again, our final score from Statesboro, the Eagles on top of the Phoenix, 38-21. I want you to join us in 2 weeks for our next SoCon Saturday telecast as the Elon Phoenix takes on the #1 ranked Appalachian State Mountaineers October 9th, 3 p.m. Eastern. For my broadcast partner, Sam White, I'm Tom Wormy. Thanks for being with us, and so long from Statesboro, Georgia, and SoCon Saturday.